The Jake Asman Show will begin shortly. Thanks to all these great Patreon members who help support the show. Get your super chats ready. Jake will be here in just a moment. If you love the New York Jets, this is the place to be. And now, the Jake Asman Show.
It feels like the Jets could be hiring a GM before today ends. Plus, there's breaking news around the NFL, and that also impacts the New York Jets. Jets reporter Nick Faria is going to join us. It's the Jake Asman Show on a Football Friday. Let's hit it and get it started. Man, our Jets are primed to win another offseason, baby.
Number one, we play with maximum effort. There's 3 elements of effort. Got burst, speed, and finish. If I don't see one of those, man, you're a traitor. Go play for somebody else. Win, lose, or draw. The one thing you're going to say about our defense, using the fight. That's an ass kicker.
We bleed Jets green each and every day. Will the playoff drought finally end? Kings of the offseason, baby. This is what we do. At least we have Garrett Wilson. We have Brees Hall. Please subscribe and hit the like button below. Super Chats, baby. Cut the line. We have Sauce Gardner. We have Quentin Williams. Prepare to be underdogs. Now it's time to talk all things New York Jets. It's the Jake Asman Show. Here we go on a Football Friday. Click that like button, a.k.a. the thumbs up button, and make sure, if you haven't already, that you click the subscribe button. We are awaiting a New York Jets announcement or a leak on who the next general manager will be. We know Aaron Glenn will be having his introductory press conference on Monday, and many expect the Jets to have a GM by then. Joining us right now to talk all things New York Jets is Jets beat reporter for Athlon Sports, Nick Faria, in his weekly spot. Nick, happy Friday. And man, lot to talk about, including some breaking news. Seconds before we started, Pete Carroll going back to the Raiders, or I guess going to the Raiders, back to the NFL as a head coach. We'll start there because obviously it's yet another coaching vacancy that is getting filled up this week. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm pretty surprised that the Raiders wanted to go down the Carroll route, understanding of the fact that they are going to have, if they hired an inexperienced coach, that they were going to have probably the worst coach of the 4 in that division. You look at Jim Harbaugh, Sean Payton, Andy Reid. So surprised that Carroll wanted to join there in terms of that overall competition. The rivalry with Jim Harbaugh is back. That's going to be a great one to see. There were rivals back when they were in the Pac-12. There were rivals in the NFC West and now in the AFC West as well. So great things are happening around the league. So many interesting little tidbits. I will say probably the biggest surprise over the last few days came down in Jacksonville, where they were originally wanted to hire Liam Cohen. They were going to keep Trent Baalke. Cohen balked at that. Then they fired Baalke, and now they're getting Cohen at the end of the day. It really has just been an insane 72 hours.
It really has been. So as things stand right now, because we will talk about the Liam Cohen situation, because now Tampa, Todd Bowles, he needs to replace another offensive coordinator. Aaron Glenn's trying to find his offensive coordinator, and there could be some competition there for the Jets. But as things stand right now, just updating everyone on the coach and GM carousel, we know the New York Jets still need a GM. The Titans already hired their GM, Mike Borgonzi. The Raiders announced yesterday John Spytek, who was one of the assistants in Tampa. He's now their GM. So 2 GM vacancies have been filled. Only one left. That is the Jets. Head coach openings. We know the Jets have hired Aaron Glenn. We know the Bears have hired Ben Johnson. We know the Jaguars, as you just said and I just said, have hired Liam Cohen, and the Raiders have hired Pete Carroll. We know the Patriots have hired Mike Vrabel. The only jobs that are left are the Saints and the Cowboys, which is kind of funny because a lot of connections out there connecting Mike McCarthy to potentially the New Orleans job. And Dallas, of course, I mean, who knows what they're going to do? I mean, Brian Schottenheimer.
Baby. It is a good time to be a fan of a team in the NFC East.
Just wild. But, man, certainly, things are constantly changing. I do want to get more into, though, the Liam Cohen situation before we expand on the GM search and what the latest is there. Liam Cohen leaving Tampa potentially hurts the Jets because he goes to Jacksonville, and that means Todd Bowles has to hire another OC. And if you're choosing between the Bucs job and the Jets job, I would think Tampa's the better job because you have Baker Mayfield, and now Todd Bowles could say, hey, the previous two guys I hired for this job, they do a good job. They become head coaches, and Dave Canales in Carolina, now Liam Cohen, of course, with Jacksonville. So if the Jets and the Bucs are going after the same guy, I feel like Tampa would win that faceoff. So that potentially does impact the Jets.
It does, but I do want to say that when it comes to the Jets conversation, a lot of it is going to center around what Aaron Glenn wants to do with Aaron Rodgers. And the reason why I say that is Nick Caley is probably the biggest name that everyone's heard of, the passing game coordinator for the LA Rams. He is someone that I'm pretty sure that Tampa will be interested in. I'm sure Tampa will look to Detroit, to Minnesota as well. Maybe that's a potential pairing for Josh McCown down the way. All these things are going to be decided within the next couple of weeks. But the interesting thing is, if Aaron Glenn wants Rodgers to return, then you are going to want some semblance of understanding, some semblance of merging with Rodgers' passing concepts in the West Coast offense and the modern play calling abilities of young coaches. Another name that I look at, if we're going based off of that metric, is Clint Kubiak, the offensive coordinator formerly of the New Orleans Saints. He didn't do a bad job. The minute they lost their starting quarterback, the team really struggled down the stretch. That's going to happen everywhere you turn. So to me, I think the top choice is Nick Caley, and then probably number two, if they really want to bring back Aaron Rodgers and they want to sort of merge their offense, that West Coast system, with more of a modern flair to it, Kubiak would be a smart choice as well. I don't think you can go wrong with any of those two choices. And then when it comes down to it, if Tampa wants either of those guys, you're still going to get a prime play-calling offensive coordinator for this new regime.
One thing I want to clarify, I forgot Jacksonville fired Trent Baalke, which led to this whole Liam Cohen thing.
It's the whole
right.
situation.
Right. So the Jets are not the only team without a GM, technically. Jacksonville as well. It does show you, though, talking about Liam Cohen going to the Jaguars, coaches are more valuable now than GMs in so many different organizations. Like the coach almost has more power than the GM. A lot of first-time coaches are getting a ton of power. I think it really started with Shanahan. He basically was like the first coach without really having a resume. He goes to the Niners, He picks Lynch, and now Liam Cohen is basically going to sit in on GM interviews too, I imagine, like Aaron Glenn is with the Jets.
I don't know if it's so much the coaches being hired by first ahead of the GM, because I think what it ends up being is teams have to decide what they want to build their team around. Do they want to have the analytically driven organization, kind of like what Philly has, where they have the GM, and the GM runs a collaborative approach with the head coach in roster decisions, game time decisions, all these other different things. Then you have other organizations who are run by the head coach, and the GM picks players that the head coach wants. The head coach essentially tells him, I want player A. GM goes and gets player A for them. So there are different situations there. The Jets obviously want to have the head coach first to at least facilitate and have a development point for their overall roster. So it's a little bit different. Every team is a little bit different on how they want to build their team. You are starting to see more head coaches be hired before the general manager, but I think at the end of the day, it just comes down to what the owner group of that team really wants for the future of their organization.
What are your thoughts on this search process now for the Jets as we talk about them? There's a report out there that it's seemingly down to Darren Mougey and Trey Brown. Trey Brown comes over from the Bengals. Darren Mougey is currently with the Denver Broncos. We know Lance Newmark interviewed the same day Aaron Glenn did, but it feels like he maybe is out of the mix based on some recent reports. So it feels like we're down to two. But before we talk about each candidate, Nick, just your thoughts on the process, how we got to these last two with Glenn in place, seemingly a big part of who the next GM is going to be.
Yeah, and I'll be pretty frank. I haven't had an issue with the Jets process at all. I think objectively, you can't really look and say, what are they doing here? This is a complete fallacy, because they've taken the time. They've interviewed over 10 names for their general manager position. They interviewed over 10 names for their head coaching position. I think it's a total of 30 names that have been tied to both the head coach and general manager positions included. So they have run a diligent process. They have worked hard to find the right people for this role. And obviously they ended up with Aaron Glenn as the head coach. But then you look across the league and you see, I think the best way to put it is dysfunction. The Dallas Cowboys, everyone was expecting Mike McCarthy to return for another season. And then a week and a half later, it turns out, actually, we're going to go in a different direction. Dallas was so far behind in the head coaching search that they have essentially been playing catch up the whole way. And they're thinking about Brian Schottenheimer as the head coach. That's a sense of dysfunction. And we talk about it. Let's talk about Jacksonville. Like we said, they fired Doug Peterson. Everyone expected them to also fire Trent Baalke. Just a clean house of a situation. Just start from scratch. And that didn't happen. For some reason, the Khan family wanted to keep Baalke. That essentially cut their chances on getting some of the bright young offensive minds in the NFL for the head coaching position. And now, once they realized it, they were like, oh, crap, we got to do something about this. So they fire Baalke, or they part ways with Baalke, however you want to call it. And now they get Liam Cohen. There's so many dysfunctional teams out there. I think there needs to be some appreciation for the Jets to simply say, we're just going to go about this. We're going to interview our people. We're going to pick the people that we think are best fits for this organization, now best fits for Aaron Glenn, and we're going to move forward with that. This has been a very chill process. People will look and say, oh, they interviewed too many candidates. I disagree. They haven't been good for 14 years. The more people you talk to, the better semblance of a plan that you can create. You can sort of jump in to that particular plan. So I look at where the Jets have been, where they are, this GM search. This is just the next step of the process. They're choosing between their finalists. They're going to find one probably today, and they're going to move forward with an Aaron Glenn and Trey Brown, or Aaron Glenn and Darren Mougey type of front office, and you just move from there. Sorry, Jake, I can't hear you.
Oh, sorry about that, Nick. I have no problem with the volume of interviews the Jets have conducted. I was just frustrated, specifically with the coach process, of some of the lack of names they spoke to, specifically some of the guys with previous experience like Mike McCarthy and guys on the offensive side of the ball. You know, there was a story, the Jets, they didn't talk to Cliff Kingsbury because he said no. Peter Schrager, who's friends with Cliff, said they didn't even request him. So I'm not saying you got to hire Cliff Kingsbury, but I feel like you got to hear him out. He's a coach on the offensive side of the ball, did make the playoffs his first go around with previous experience, done a good job with Jaden Daniels. Like, I'm not saying you got to hire these guys, and I like Aaron Glenn. I do.
Yeah.
I just would have liked to have seen a more thorough process for a head coach if you're going to interview Ron Rivera and Mike Loxley and some of these other guys that have no chance of getting the job. Why not talk to some more of those guys? The GM process, I think they've talked to some top names. I don't have an issue there. It's more so some of the lack of names they didn't talk to on the coaching side. That was my frustration with the process.
And that's perfectly fair too. I've been on this show banging the table that this team needs to hire an offensive-minded coach, and to me, my opinion, that doesn't change. I think they should have gone after Liam Cohen. They should have gone after offensive minds, whoever it ended up being. But at the end of the day, they made their choice. They wanted their guy, and they had a plan of who they wanted, a sort of brand that they wanted as a head coach. They wanted a guy with a defensive background. They wanted someone who has a history of building a culture and understanding the market of coming into New York, coming into Florham Park and trying to win right away. And I think at the end of the day, Aaron Glenn was always the top choice for them. I think the dream scenario was Mike Vrabel, but it was never going to happen once New England had their opening there. So once they pivoted off of Vrabel, they went to the next top guy they had, and they were able to land him.
100%. And look, ultimately, at the end of the day, Aaron Glenn's got to hire a good staff. And that's what it's going to come down to. And you're hearing some names come out that are intriguing, and we'll see what he does with the offensive coordinator job. I like the idea of Steve Wilkes being the DC, someone proven, a former head coach. You can let him run the defense, and Glenn could be the CEO type of coach that many are projecting him to be. You just got to get it right. I mean, that's really the bottom line. Now, as far as the GM search goes, Nick, we're down to two, it feels like, Mougey and Brown. Your thoughts on each of these candidates? You have a preference based on some of your reporting, digging in on both these guys' backgrounds?
Yeah, so first off, these are two highly qualified individuals. To say they aren't is just to not give credit to the work that they have done over the last 2 decades. Mougey has been with the Denver Broncos pretty much his entire career. He's worked with Sean Payton. There are some issues. He was a big proponent of bringing in Nathaniel Hackett as the head coach, but by and large, I think he's a solid candidate overall. They've built a strong team out in Denver, and the turnaround has been superb. Then you look at Trey Brown. And the one thing I really like about Trey Brown is he's had multiple stops. He was a scout for the New England Patriots. He was working with Howie Roseman, went to the AAF. I believe he was with the USFL as well, now with the Cincinnati Bengals. He has been around different stops. So When I look at where the Jets are in this process, if I personally had a preference, I think Trey Brown is probably the best one to go to because he's been involved in scouting. He's been involved in so many organizations. He understands the process of how to build a winner, both in New England and in Philadelphia. So all of that, I think, is kind of a leg up for him. I'm always worried about GMs that stayed in one particular place. They don't really have the full connections, the full relationships needed to build a cohesive staff of scouts and assistants and cap management guys. I think Brown's probably the one that I would choose. But it'll be interesting to see what the Jets want. I think clearly Sean Payton, his opinion has helped out the team. And for the most part, he loves Mougey. He loved Darren, Glenn. The fact that both are finalists and one's actually been hired, I think can't be understated as well.
Hit the like button if you're tuning in. Comments, questions, super chats. We'll cut the line. Shout out to Devin, who has gifted a channel membership. Ladies and gentlemen, we have quite the raffle giveaway options if you're tuning in for the first time this week. If you win the raffle, grand prize, signed Garrett Wilson jersey. Second place prize, signed Hall of Famer Joe Klecko jersey, baby. Yeah, it's got his Hall of Fame inscription on it as well, making it even more valuable. We also have a signed head coach of the New York Jets, Aaron Glenn, trading card, and a signed Breece Hall trading card with the jersey patch part of it. And one last one for you, Nick. A Joe Willie Namath replica Super Bowl III ring. So 5 prizes, biggest raffle yet. It will be either Monday or Tuesday of next week. So gift the membership if you want in on our latest Asmaniac raffle. You know, as far as the relationship now between Glenn and the GM, it feels like Glenn is like the total front man for the organization.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like that is too much on the plate of a first-time head coach to essentially give him the Vrabel treatment where he's picking the personnel guy he wants to work with? Vrabel, I understood because of the resume. Glenn's never been a head coach before, despite being someone that's certainly qualified to be, to be one. Your thoughts on that?
No, and I think I think it's wrong to say that he will be in charge of every major decision there, because I think that with NFL organizations now, it's all about collaboration. No one person is making all the decisions on a football team, whether it's the roster, whether it's the draft, scouting, and everything like that. I don't think Aaron Glenn's going to sit there and say, I want A, B, and C, and if you don't get it for me, I'm going to be pissed. I brought you here for a reason. There's going to be collaboration here, as there always is. There's collaboration out in Dallas. There's collaboration in Pittsburgh. There's going to be collaboration in New England as well. They still have Elliott Wolf working with Mike Vrabel. Will Vrabel have sort of a push and they say in what he wants his roster to be? Of course. The same thing with Aaron Glenn. But it's going to work within the confines of the team. If Aaron Glenn wants something and the GM agrees with it, then that's going to be the push forward. And that's why you want these two guys on the same page over and over and over again. So I look at this. I don't think that there's any issue in terms of Aaron Glenn having too much power right away. I think it's just a matter of he's going to want some say in the roster, as every coach does. And he, with a GM that is hired, that he has a personal relationship with, will be able to bring in guys that fit his style and the team that he wants to build.
Do you think, though, Glenn will have like final say on a move, or is it going to be the GM?
I think it'll be both. I don't think it's just going to be one person. I think they're going to talk about it and they are going to come to an agreement together. I don't think
what if they can? What if they're split? There's a decision to be made. Who's winning the face-off? Because there's going to be a moment where someone's going to have to make a decision.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's Glenn. I would, but again, that's why if they bring in Brown, who has a great relationship, they're friends together, I think they're going to agree far more than they're going to disagree.
Yeah, look, you want alignment. And it's great that they have a friendship, but to me, that stuff could be a little overrated. Like, hire the best candidate, and if Aaron Glenn is truly this, great coaching candidate that every team wanted to speak to, and he would have other opportunities if he didn't take the Jet job, then there's going to be a GM who's going to want to work with him, even if he maybe doesn't know Aaron Glenn. Like, hire someone who's qualified for the role, not just because, they've attached themselves to Aaron Glenn. Like, that's why I think Lance Newmark ultimately is not getting this job, because he was with Detroit for a while, but he only overlapped with Aaron Glenn for 2 years before he went to Washington this past year. Like, Is Lance Newmark the best candidate they could hire? Like, I'm glad they're talking to more people. I just don't think, Aaron Glenn and him know each other. You got to pair them up. Like, if Aaron Glenn is this guy everyone says he is, he could work with plenty of qualified candidates in that role, and they could build a friendship over working together,
Which is why Mougey's a finalist, even though they haven't really worked together. And the same thing with Brown, but it's been reported that Brown and Glenn are good friends off the field as well. So listen, I get it. Gun to my head, if I had to choose who's going to be the final decision, if there's a tie in the organization, my guess would be that Glenn would be making that decision. He doesn't want to have what happened to Mike Vrabel out in Tennessee, where they were building a championship roster and then the GM wanted to trade A.J. Brown for a first-round pick, and that was it. So I don't think it's going to happen like that. Gun to my head, Glenn will probably make the final decision, but I think this GM will have just as much power as any executive, and he will be able to hire his own staff and bring in players that fit the mold of what the Jets want to build.
Hit the like button if you're just tuning in. We're talking with Jets beat reporter Nick Faria. There is over 600 people watching live right now. If you're not a subscriber yet, please hit the subscribe button. We hit 41,000 earlier this week, and we're on our way to 42,000. If you get the membership, you're in the raffle for the signed Garrett jersey, signed Klecko jersey, signed Glenn and Brees trading card. Bo C, he's gifted, how about it, 5 channel memberships for the people. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go.
Show me the money. Show me the money! Money.
Damn. Harlem-born, Bronx-bred Christian Cardenas, Jonathan, Tyler, and Barron are all channel members. Here's a question I thought of for you specifically, Nick. Aaron Glenn, press conference Monday. First question to Aaron Glenn should be what at the presser?
One of two things. Either what's the plan for Aaron Rodgers and who's going to be your offensive coordinator? Because at the end of the day, everything that Glenn is going to say in this press conference, it's just not going to matter. The two biggest ones are going to be who's calling your plays and who's going to be your quarterback. Because when you hire a defensive-minded coach, this is what you have to deal with. You got to figure out the quarterback position, which a guy like Vic Fangio, when he was head coach of the Denver Broncos, he couldn't figure out the quarterback. He was fired because of it. But you also got to figure out the play caller. Robert Saleh couldn't figure out the play caller, and he was fired for it. So I look at the questions that need to be answered, the questions that we all need answers on, the two biggest ones. Who's your quarterback? Who's your play caller? Because if you don't nail both, you're just going to have the same exact problem that Robert Saleh had for 3.5 years.
Ladies and gentlemen, Nick Faria joining us here, and he teed me up perfectly. What's the plan with Aaron Rodgers? That's the question Aaron Glenn will be asked. I want your thoughts on Aaron Rodgers and whether or not you think Aaron Glenn's going to want him back as the Jet quarterback in 2025.
I think he will. And I think I said this when he was hired on Wednesday on this show. When you're a defensive-minded coach, you don't really get the opportunity to rebuild for very long. You need to be able to find the quarterback and win right away. One of the reasons why Rex Ryan had such a long leash towards the twilight of his career and why he got a second job in the first place is because he won right away. So I look at Glenn and I say, okay, well, if he needs a quarterback to win right away, which is obviously the case, which is the best quarterback? Who's the best quarterback that can give the Jets a chance to win on Sunday that's going to be available either with the 7th overall pick or among the free agent pool? And it's not pretty this year. There's no real big free agent name out there that can turn around the team moving forward. You're not going to sign Carson Wentz and hope he has a Sam Darnold revenge type of tour in this past season. So I look at it and I say Aaron Rodgers still gives you the best chance to win in 2025. If that means you have to punt some of this cap penalties for another year, so be it. If you win right away, you now have the trust. You now build some cachet where you can make roster decisions and sort of try different things after Rodgers retires or after he moves on after the 2025 season. But I've been pretty clear on this. With Aaron Glenn, it sounds like he's interested in bringing Rodgers back. They're still going to have conversations about it. But by and large, if this team wants to win next year, Rodgers is still the best quarterback for it.
I tend to agree. I feel like part of it will come down to the financials, right? The contract and that being reworked. I think part of it is also the offensive coordinator choice and Rodgers' willingness to work with that guy with hopefully a modernized offensive scheme. And I think another big thing in all this, Nick, with Rodgers, if you bring him back, you're getting Devontae Adams back. And if you move on from Rodgers, I don't see Devontae here without Rodgers, unless Rodgers just straight up retires, and then maybe Devontae is more willing to stick around if his buddy's not playing anywhere. But I just have a hard time believing Devontae's here without Aaron. So you're making your receiver room Garrett Wilson and nothing if you don't have Aaron Rodgers as the quarterback next year.
And again, I see some comments out here saying, best chance to win 9 games. You haven't had a above 500 season in close to a decade.
Yeah.
It's been a long time. So and this is why I say, Jet fans, you need to determine what the goal is with this new head coach. If you're trying to build a consistent winner, a team like the 49ers, a team like Philadelphia, you need to figure out the quarterback position. Offensive-minded coaches, probably the way to go. But if you're hiring a defensive-minded guy, you're going to want to show success right away. And if the Jets were to go 9-8 with Aaron Rodgers and squeak into the playoffs or just miss out by half a game, that is significant improvement from the previous year. So you're clearly being built the right way. So again, there were a lot of factors this year that played a part into why Rodgers was unable to win games, but they lost a lot of games by 1 score. Normally when that happens, luck kind of turns around for you the following year where you win some games by 1 score. I think that can certainly happen with the Jets. And I look at Rodgers again as the best chance to win and win consistently in 2025.
I completely agree. I think ultimately the goal should be to win as many games as possible. Like the idea that, you don't want to bring Rodgers back because you might go 9-8. Like,
what's wrong with that? You haven't
kidding me?
You haven't won 9 games in a while. And but again, if I were the decision maker, and I've said this before, I would want the offensive guy, even if I have to punt away in 2025, to put myself in a position to get a young quarterback the following year. That would be my dream scenario. You see a lot of teams do that. Philadelphia did that in 2020 to 2021. They punted in 2020. They were able to build out and won 9 games. It didn't mean that they were just screwed moving forward. It just meant that they were building something positive with the new head coach. The Jets don't want to do that. The Jets want to win right now. That's perfectly fine. You've seen it happen before. You've seen turnarounds happen like that. So, yes, who do you want as quarterback to accomplish that goal? Do you want Aaron Rodgers? Do you want Tyrod Taylor? Do you want Daniel Jones? We mentioned Carson Wentz. Do you want Quinn Ewers, a quarterback that may be available with the 7th overall pick? None of these options, to me, are very good. Outside of Aaron Rodgers, who we have seen in the past has bounced back really well from down years.
I also think, like, the idea that you don't want to start winning and have faith in your coach going forward, if Aaron Glenn could get this team to 9-8 and maybe sneak into the playoffs or have just a winning season for the first time in a decade, like, then you'd feel like, all right, we maybe finally have a coach. Like, there's something here. Like, the young players on this team that are blossoming into stars, like, they want to be here. They want to be a part of this. You're changing the culture. Remember, if you're going to talk about what the Lions did, a large part of their turnaround was that 8-9 season after they started awful, and there was talks of Dan Campbell getting fired in his second year, and then they went on that run, ended the year 8-9.
Over 500.
Or actually, no, they were 9-8, right?
Right, they finished over 500.
Yep, they finished 9-8. They missed the playoffs, but what they did was establish their culture. There was buy-in from the whole organization. They had the right guy. And then a year later, they're in the NFC title game. And this year, they're the 1 seed in the conference. So, like, that should be the goal for the Jets. Have a winning season. Restore confidence in your leadership that you have the right head coach, GM. And, but Jake, they'll win too many games. They won't get the quarterback. Last I checked, the 2 teams playing in the Jets conference did not have to tank to get their quarterbacks. You know what they did? They traded up after they identified the guys they wanted at that spot, and they were coming off playoff seasons. The Chiefs were a playoff team with Alex Smith. The Buffalo Bills were a playoff team with Tyrod Taylor after they ended the 17-year playoff drought up there. So I get so annoyed when I hear people say, what's the point of bringing Aaron back if you can only go 9-8 at best? Okay,
There's also no guarantee they just finish 9-8. Like this talent on this roster. Let's say they go 10-7, 11-6. There's so many different things that can happen in a turnaround like this. Washington was one of the worst franchises in NFL history over the last decade. They bring in Dan Quinn, who I thought was going to be a disaster. You bring in Jaden Daniels, and you're playing in the conference championship game. Like these turnarounds do happen. And Dan Quinn's a defensive-minded coach. He's kind of the outlier to me on second-chance defensive-minded coaches that have just completely taken over the league. He's done such a great job. You look at what happened in Washington. You look at what happened in Buffalo. Jake, you made a great point about the Bills in 2017. They were winning that first year. They won that first year, and then the next year, they didn't finish over 500. I think they went 6-10.
They did, yeah.
But they had built the cachet. The organization had built the cachet to say, hey, we have shown we can win with our culture. Now it's about getting the quarterback. And if we have to stumble for that extra year, that's okay, because we're going to be able to get our guy. So I look at this and I say, you want to win right away? Who's the best quarterback to do it? You want Tyrod Taylor? Do you want Daniel Jones? Do you want Carson? Do you want Kirk Cousins? All these names don't impress me nearly as much as Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I agree. And also, you're right. They could go on a run. I mean, Mark Sanchez is a rookie, and Rex Ryan, a first-year defensive-minded head coach, they went all the way to the AFC title game with a similar situation from the standpoint of the talent level being pretty good for the Jets. This is not Robert Saleh's first year when they were coming off a 2-win season with the worst point differential in franchise history. There's good players on this team. You can't lead the NFL in blown fourth quarter leads if you're not having leads in the first place, because there's some talent here. It's not like they're getting blown out in all these games.
Yeah.
Coaching was the biggest issue, and they seem to think they have the next awesome coach. I hope they're right, because then it could turn around fast.
And again, I want to make something very clear, because people are jumping on the Quinn Ewers at 7 point. It has nothing to do with Quinn Ewers at 7. The point is, with the 7th overall pick, you're not getting one of the top 2 quarterbacks. So you're getting significantly lesser talent in this draft no matter what. You guys are taking the wrong message here. It's not, he's saying Quinn Ewers at 7. That's not what you want as your quarterback there. He's not going 7. You don't want to pick him at 7 because he's not going to be the savior of the franchise, at least not right now. If you want to win right away, you need a quarterback to be able to win and be successful right away. You're not getting that with this rookie class. You're going to be out on Shedeur Sanders. You're going to be out on Cam Ward. You're going to trust Shedeur. You're going to trust Quinn Ewers. You're going to trust Kyle McCord. Throw them out into the field in their first season with Aaron Glenn. You don't want to do that right away with the rookie quarterback. You want to get the best available player on your team at quarterback. And that is still to this day Aaron Rodgers.
There's always 4 teams every year on average that were not playoff teams the prior season that make it the following season. And you see it constantly. The Commanders are obviously the shining example of it this year. They're playing with a rookie quarterback for a spot in the Super Bowl against your squad on Sunday. But there's always examples of this. The Chargers, with better coaching, went from out of the playoffs to in the playoffs this year. Denver with Sean Payton, the same exact thing. So
Denver was supposed to be terrible this year.
And I thought they were going to be. They looked awful. I'm still upset the Jets lost 10-9 to them in that game. In hindsight, Denver was obviously a lot better than we thought, and Bo Nix got better with great coaching around him, and he looks like he's going to be a solid quarterback in this league. So, I say that to say, try and win as many games as possible. And obviously, if the Jets do draft a quarterback, let's say at the end of round 1, like what the Ravens did with Lamar, if you're out of it, Aaron Rodgers is going to have the understanding that they're going to play that guy at the end. We all understand what that would be. He's the bridge quarterback, and if you view him through that lens, it makes sense to try and win as many games as possible. And then, you get your quarterback in 2026. You trade up for that guy. I mean, that's what they did with Sanchez, right? Favre retired. The Jets are picking 18, and they moved up to 5 to get him. Buffalo, I already used that example as a move you can make.
Philadelphia
win games,
went from 7-9. Traded up in the draft twice to get Carson Wentz with the 2nd overall pick. Same with the Rams.
Yeah,
Rams weren't that terrible. I think they were 7-9, and they traded up to the number 1 overall pick. Just because you don't have the top pick to get a guy like Arch Manning or whoever it ends up being next year, that doesn't mean that you're screwed out of a quarterback. It just means that you're going to have to figure out new and creative ways to get them. And by the way, Jalen Hurts is in the conference championship, 2nd round pick. These guys still exist where you can get starting caliber quarterbacks who are really good in the later rounds as well.
100%. And I hope the Jets can have like a 2006-like season next year. There was no expectations that year. First year of Mangini. They were projected to win around 4 games following a 4-12 season with Herm, and then they make the change. Mangini comes in. Pennington is coming back off of injury. No one's talking about him. And guess what? Chad stayed healthy, and Mangini earned the Mangenius nickname because the Jets went 10-6 and made the playoffs. That's what I hope Aaron Glenn is capable of doing. Like, I'm not throwing away next year. And if Aaron Rodgers takes the pay cut and gives this team the best chance to win, like I believe he still does, he's my quarterback. And then I'll figure out my long-term answer at quarterback, maybe this year with a dart throw, Jackson Dart or someone like that. Or we'll do it in 2026 like Buffalo did after they made the playoffs and trade up and get that guy.
And they went, again, like I said, they went 6-10. They went 6-10 the following year with that rookie quarterback.
You'd have faith in the head coach because at least he ended the longest playoff drought in sports if you got in this year, right?
And that's why you want to win right away. So you can build that cachet to say, even if you went 6-10 and you said, hey, we have a young rookie quarterback this second year. It didn't work out, but he's going to grow and we're going to get better because of it. That's a plan. That is how you build a cohesive plan. First, you get trust in the coaching staff that they understand what they're doing. They can work and be improvements from Robert Saleh and all these other coaches. And then you start building the roster in the way they want it to. This can happen. It's happened before. And to simply sit there and say, no, I don't want this because Rodgers' big cap space, his big cap hit, the thing that I continuously tell everyone is this. If you have a good GM, a big cap hit is not going to sink your season. It's not going to sink your career. Look at the Denver Broncos, all the money they have to pay with Russell Wilson. They were still competitive last year. They're still competitive this year. They made the playoffs this year. You look at Philadelphia, a year removed from Carson Wentz having $40 million of dead cap, they were in the playoffs. These things can happen. You just need a GM that understands how to work with the cap. You hire the right cap people, you'll be fine.
100%. If you're watching live right now, hit the like button, comments, questions, super chats. We'll cut the line around here. We'll mix in some calls as well. I have an exciting announcement for every Asmaniac out there. We have not one, but 2 Aaron Glenn emojis that have been added for channel members. So hit the Aaron Glenn emoji if you're optimistic about the next head coach of the New York Jets. Thank you to Snowball, who designed both of these emojis here for YouTube's specifications. So we got Glenn as a coach. We got Glenn as a player. Not 1, but 2 Aaron Glenn emojis for all channel members. Become a channel member by hitting the join button, and that will get you a raffle entry in next week's Garrett Wilson Klecko autograph jersey raffle. Dylan with a super chat. I'd be happy with Kubiak or Kaylee. Modern offenses from schemes worth plucking from. Also prefer Brown over Mougey as GM, but it's close. I prefer Brown as well, doing some digging on him. And offensive coordinator-wise, I prefer Kaylee, but I like Kubiak as well.
Well, and this is kind of what I said at the beginning of the show. If Aaron Glenn wants Rodgers back, then Kubiak makes the most sense because he's worked with West Coast offenses before, worked with Derek Carr, who's more of a traditional pocket passer, and they were able to have some success early on this past season when they were all healthy. So I think if you're bringing back Rodgers, Kubiak makes a ton of sense. But, of course, if you're trying to develop an offensive system, then Kaylee's the guy. I think you can't go wrong with either.
100%. Hit the like button once again. Appreciate everyone tuning in live. Breaking news happened before our show. Pete Carroll to the Raiders. I see Big Phil has super chatted that. We hit on that at the top for those who want our immediate reaction on Carroll being hired by the Raiders. I mean, I said it. If I'm the Jets, I would have spoke to him. And by the way, the irony of, Rex Ryan trying to get back in as a former Jet head coach, and the former Jet head coach who gets a job is Pete Carroll.
I'd love to hear. I can't wait to hear Ryan's response. I haven't been able to check it recently because it's been so busy. I can't wait to hear his response on Aaron Glenn being hired as the head coach. I can't imagine he's very pleased.
I don't think this would happen, but Rex Ryan and Aaron Glenn did overlap.
Sure.
Rex was the Jet coach in 2012 and 2013, and Aaron Glenn was hired originally by Tannenbaum as a scout. There's photos of Rex and Aaron Glenn on the practice field. Like, I don't think Rex would do it, but Aaron Glenn did work with Rex's son with the Lions. Seth Ryan was an assistant wide receivers coach. If Rex would swallow his pride, he'd be the best DC choice. Previous head coaching experience, understands the market. I don't know if Glenn would want that. I don't know if Rex would be able to be comfortable doing that. He might feel like, F that, I'm the best guy for the job. You guys haven't made the playoffs since I was the head coach. I'm not being any DC, but, you know, if Rex would be open to it, like Bart Scott and Leger Douzable, two guys who played for Rex, say they believe he would, I'm at least throwing it out there that Sexy Rexy should be in consideration for the DC job.
I think Steve Wilkes is very, very a strong candidate. Pretty much the same thing, although he didn't have the success as a head coach, but he got screwed out of a couple of different venues, both in Arizona and Carolina. I think Wilkes is an excellent, excellent choice if he ends up being the defensive coordinator.
Just saying, Rex would be good too.
Well, how about this? We talked about former head coaches. You mentioned Steve Wilkes. Todd Haley is another name that
I like that because he's a hard ass, and he's coached for the Jets before, by the way.
Coach for both, obviously. If he's not the play caller, that means you're hiring him as a senior offensive assistant. That means you are helping him develop the system that Glenn needs to have to be able to win. So if they were to get a guy like Kubiak as the OC, have Haley as a senior offensive assistant, and Steve Wilkes as the DC, you are now surrounding your head coach with people who understand how to do their job and have been in their jobs before. That is only going to enhance New York's coaching staff. I would argue it'd be the best coaching staff the Jets have had in a very, very long time from a purely assistant standpoint.
The best coaching staff of my lifetime as a Jet fan are the 09 and 2010 staffs. The amount of future head coaches on it, previous head coaches on it, Hall of Fame level assistants like Mike Westhoff and Bill Callahan on it. I mean, that was the best staff. I mean, to quote Mike Westhoff on this show, they had an all-star staff. And I love Westhoff potentially being involved as an advisor to Aaron Glenn.
Yeah, well. I don't think he would ever. I don't think he'd ever come back to be a full-time head coach. I saw Samini say it, and it's a shame that Connor Long didn't get him on the interview. I saw on Twitter they were having it scheduled. Shame they couldn't get it on, but him as an assistant, you know, trying to help on training camp makes the most sense overall.
Todd Haley, do you know what job he has, by the way, right now?
I have no idea.
I looked it up. Todd Haley is currently the head football coach of the Memphis Showboats, or he was as of 2023.
No way.
That is an arena league team.
Good Lord. Listen, but again, you're not having him call plays. You're not having him be the de facto person who's running the offense, but you're having him help out. You're helping him out with in-game management. You're helping him out in developing a system. That makes a lot of sense. You want people who have experience before surrounding your inexperienced head coach. I think he can't go wrong with any of these guys.
I agree. I agree. And he knows the Jet organization. He knows Aaron Glenn. He started off as a scouting assistant with the Jets in 95. He was the receivers coach under Parcells from 97 to 2000. Obviously, his dad was connected to the Jet organization as well. Everyone knows that.
That family's been around the NFL for a very, very long time.
100%. So, Dick Haley is a, former executive with the Jets, general manager. So, yeah, Todd Haley being part of this as an advisor, senior offensive assistant. And by the way, if they do hire Kubiak as the OC, call up Gary and see if he'd help out Aaron Glenn too.
I don't think Gary would, but certainly another name that could be considered for that role. This is when Robert Saleh was hired, he brought in a lot of young and inexperienced coaches. He brought in a first-time OC, brought in a first-time DC, obviously himself as a first-time head coach, all these things. And I think that lack of experience really hurt that team. Talk about Knapp, the coach who passed away, unfortunately, during the offseason. Obviously, there were different plans in place to help them, but they were never able to really recover from an offensive standpoint because of that. If Glenn is able to hire some of these names that we have heard linked to the franchise, you are in a much different situation, a much better standpoint for Glenn's start than Saleh's hire was right from the get-go.
Also, I want to apologize. The Memphis Showboats are a UFL team. They are not an arena team. I'm sorry to the UFL fans out there like Sham. All right, my mistake. I apologize. We like to own our mistakes around here and be accountable. And I thought it was an arena league team. It is not.
You hired the most accountable head coach of the cycle, man. It's all about accountability.
Let's see. Bo says, Jake and Nick, you're both just hired as the head coach of the Jets. What's your opening statement to us Jet fans? What's your philosophy with this team? Look, opening statements, I mean, to me, it's not about winning the press conference. I mean, there's countless examples of guys who did that and sucked. Joe Judge won his press conference with the Giants. I've never seen Giants fans more excited, and he was a disaster. And Nick Sirianni lost his. His team's playing again this weekend. He's already been to a Super Bowl. Dan Campbell was mocked for the kneecap comment.
There were so many people that were angry when Dan Campbell had his introductory press conference about biting kneecaps. And it was such a big thing about, and Eric Bieniemy can't get a head coaching job, and this guy he's a joke. Well, I think the Lions are pretty happy with what they've been able to do under Dan Campbell. I think Philadelphia, even with Nick Sirianni stuttering about systems in place, it worked out for both teams. The introductory press conference does not make or break the future of an organization. It just doesn't.
No, but if you do want an opening statement, Bo, all right, I will give you an opening statement. What I hope Aaron Glenn says up there is that he looks right into the camera, all right? He addresses this fan base, and he goes full Charles Gorman.
I think the second one, excuse me.
Nick, your thoughts?
I'm expecting to be there on Monday. If that happens, I may just walk out. I may just walk out.
You should. If it's as bad as a Gorman fart, I mean, it might kill the entire beat reporters in attendance.
Good Lord.
Which, Fireman Ed might like. Maybe not you, Nick. I think he likes you, but, that might not be the worst thing for some. Anyway, I kid. FPP says, GM greater than coach, ask Green Bay and Philly fans. Yeah, but every organization is different. Ask the Niners. Ask the Chargers. There's examples. And basically, I would describe what the Jets are doing with Glenn, it's Pete Carroll as kind of the front-facing, and then there's a GM, John Schneider, who works closely with Pete, and they're aligned. There's multiple ways to do this. Tomlin probably has the biggest voice in Pittsburgh.
100%. And this is kind of why I always look and say, well, Pittsburgh doesn't have the roster. Well, then Mike Tomlin is doing a bad job of picking players. But
I don't think he has the quarterback. I think their roster is good enough that they had better quarterback.
I'm not going to get.
I don't want to do the Tomlin debate with you. I can't.
But the thing about it is, you're right. There's so many different ways to win. Philadelphia is from the GM out. The GM picks the players. They have a head coach that essentially listens to whatever Howie Roseman wants to say, and that's how they've been successful for the last 5 years. You look at a place like Kansas City. Kansas City originally hired Andy Reid to be the de facto guy. And now they've brought in Brett Veach, and Veach has done a great job in collaborating with Andy Reid, and now it's more 50-50 than ever before. But you have head coaches that run the show. You have general managers that run the show. There's no one right way to do this. There's a way that people will prefer, fans will prefer, but that doesn't mean it's the end of the world if it happens a different way.
Bo writes in, I give you a chance to inspire the masses, and you wasted it on a fart. You're damn right I did.
Excuse me.
Oh, God.
I mean, have you tuned into the show, Bo? Anyway, let's see. We got some more super chats here. If you have any comments or questions for Nick, write them in. He's joining us in his weekly Friday spot. Brandon writes in, AG and A-Rod end the drought. Feed Brees in G5. That should be the goal. Anyone who's like, I don't care about next year. No, man. No. By the way, those who are already in tank for the quarterback, what quarterback? You don't even know. And there's no guarantee the Jets will tank properly. And even if they do, there's no guarantee they'll pick the right quarterback because Chicago felt like they hit the jackpot with Caleb Williams. Jaden Daniels is having the greatest rookie season of all time. You never know.
But again, and this is what I always say about young quarterbacks. I'm never going to say, you're never going to hear out of me, they made a mistake drafting Caleb Williams. It is way too early to make that distinction. Ben Johnson can come in and Caleb Williams knocks it out of the park.
He could turn Caleb into Jared Goff.
In 2016, everyone was talking about Jared Goff and Carson Wentz being terrible quarterbacks because of what Dak Prescott's doing and with what Dak Prescott did in Dallas his first year. And then what happened? Carson Wentz was an MVP candidate, and then Jared Goff was in the Super Bowl 2 years later. You cannot make assumptions, these profound statements, and then just expect it to be that way, particularly with young quarterbacks, particularly with rookie quarterbacks. Jaden Daniels is having a historic rookie season. No one's going to take that away from him. But does that mean he's going to end up with a better career than Caleb Williams? No one is in the right place right now to make that assumption.
Adam is too cool, writes in, wonder if Glenn's adaptiveness applies to offense. He says it does, right? Aaron Glenn says the right things every time he speaks. I'm a coach. I'm not a defensive coach. I'm a coach. I just happen to be on defense, but I know just as much about the offense as anyone. Like, you hope that's why he's here. He's supposed to be the CEO leader that Robert Saleh was supposed to be, but wasn't.
It better be. And this is what I'm talking about in terms of adapting this on offense. If he hires the right offensive coordinator, he's gone in 2 years, maybe even one. He's gone in 2 years at tops. You better be able to adapt your system to make sure that you can bring in another great offensive play caller again and again and again. And this is why I said I would have preferred an offensive-minded head coach, because you don't have to worry about reshuffling the play caller time and time again. And it's worked both ways. We all can acknowledge that. But his adaptiveness on offense, it better apply, because if it doesn't, you're looking at another Robert Saleh.
Robert Saleh. Saleh, by the way, did not get on a plane to Jacksonville despite some initial reports, and instead is now the DC of the Niners again. So Robert Saleh.
It's such a great spot for
yeah,
him.
I mean, it's a no-brainer. Saleh, DC, great at that. You could knock him for being a head coach. That's fine. The guy could coach the hell out of defense. We know this. So Saleh, DC of San Fran, and Jeff Ulbrich does get a DC job as well with the Falcons. I am very curious, not that I really care that much about the Falcons, but I think so much of the defense was Saleh, and that was proven out to be the case when he was gone. I want to see how Ulbrich does as a DC without Robert Saleh there to help him.
I don't know if it was just him, but what I think really happened was when Ulbrich had to wear two different hats, where he had to be the play caller and the head coach. That's where he got into trouble. I think he's a good play. He's been a good play caller, and he was throughout his time with the New York Jets. It's just a matter of the minute he started having to do the head coaching duties on top of that, that's when you got into trouble. And I think that's really kind of the question mark overhead. I think he'll do a great job in Atlanta. Good defensive mind. He was able to develop some really good young players along the way. It's just a matter of, is he going to be the head coach on top of it? If that's the case, yeah, of course he'll struggle.
Fiore with a super chat. Shout out to you, Fiore. If they restructure, or I think he's saying not F that. I think he's saying if they restructure 8 and 17, cut others, they could have 70 to 80 million in cap room this year to fix holes and give Garrett Wilson his extension. Cap goes up again next year. Tank year hurts Glenn if he's trying to change the culture. He can't there's going to be riots if this team is that level of bad. They're going to try and win games. There's good players on this team. This is not 2020 going into 2021 when you knew the team was not going to be good that year. It was a rebuild year. This team should be competitive. Like
they're going to be competitive because they have the roster to do it. They were competitive this season. They just kept losing games in the final few minutes. That's what people need to realize. It wasn't like they were getting blown out by a bunch of teams. They were losing one-score games left and right because they just weren't well coached and they weren't well prepared. So I look at this. I think this plan makes perfect sense. You restructure Rodgers, you restructure Adams. I do think that Sauce Gardner will be another one that gets an extension. I think if you're looking at the players to get long-term deals, I think it's Wilson and Gardner. They'll probably wait on Jermaine Johnson, and then Breece Hall is going to be the wild card. It depends on what they're going to want at the running back position. But I think Gardner and Garrett Wilson are both going to get extended this offseason. And then you move on from there. There is no tank here. They're too good to not tank. Or they're too good to tank, I guess is my point.
I hate the tanking stuff. It doesn't work. All right? It does not work. I cannot emphasize.
You got to get to a point in the final 2 seasons. Like for the Giants, did them tanking the final game of the year allow them to be put in a position to draft Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward? Of course it did. In that mindset, it did work that they were able to get their quarterback. But if they can't get the quarterback, then tanking didn't work because you won the second to last game of the year.
And also, like, the Giants didn't go into this year planning on tanking. Like, if it happens that way, it's different. Like, I agree. Like, they should have did everything in their power to lose the last 2 weeks and put themselves in position to guarantee themselves a quarterback. But that's not that's not realistic to go.
You're not walking in saying, I'm going to go 0-16. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, not with a first-year coach. Like, there's just no way. Anyway, comments, questions, super chats for Nick Faria. Hit the like button. I want to remind everyone that we're offering bonus content on the Jake Asman Patreon, patreon.com/Jake Asman Show. You also get access to our Discord. You'll get your name added to the intro. There's a week left in January. So you have a week to get in if you want your name included in the countdown for February, plus 20% off all items in the Jake Asman merch store. Some shout outs I want to give to some Patreon users who signed up in the last couple days. Tim from Fishland, Gangrene Goliath, Bill M, Will 2012, our 4 most recent Patreon subscribers. So thank you to everyone on there for your additional support. A few minutes left with Nick. We have Jet Royalty in the chat. The great Connie Carberg writes in, Phil Savage has 10 times their resume from GM to running the Senior Bowl to scouting the Ravens and worked with Belichick and Saban and has a scout school. Plus, he now has been interim GM continuity. So, Connie, I don't think Phil will get the job as the head guy, but I have no issue if they keep him around in some sort of role in the front office because I think Phil Savage is a good football guy. And if you're going to hire a first-time GM, I think having a guy who has – right. I think a guy with his experience and a guy who's been around these players and has insight and intel on the roster and the process they've already began with the draft, I would hope whoever the GM is, Mougey or Brown, would keep Phil Savage in a role with the front office.
It makes a lot of sense, or at least hire someone who's been around the GM job before just to help in terms of a player personnel perspective. Makes a lot of sense. And you know, I don't think Savage is going to get the role either, but I do think that he would be willing and able to help this team out in the long run as well.
Comments, questions, super chats. We'll cut the line. Are you ready for a few calls before we say goodbye to you, Nick?
Let's do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Southern Jet is first up today. What's up, Rich?
Hey, good morning, everybody. Hey, Nick, haven't seen you in a while.
Good to see you.
My Happy New Year to you and your family.
You too, same.
Hey, real quick before we get to your call, Alan writes in off to Houston later all, and like my boy Rob says, go Bills. Let me say this, Alan. Please, I might pay you to never watch this show again. You are the biggest fraudulent Jet fan to ever live. If any Jet fan out there is rooting for the Buffalo Bills this weekend, I won't say you should be tarred and feathered, but I'm contemplating saying it. Like, that's where I'm at.
Tried for war crimes.
All right. I mean, Alan, get lost. You're going to the hole. Good riddance. And you're gone from the second show today, too. I can't take it anymore. Farewell.
Now look what you've done, Alan. No more protection from the Asmaniacs. Had to pull you out of the chat and cast you down with the Sodomites. Some time in here will feel like you've been run over by the lane train. You understand me? You catch my drift? Give them another 24 hours to think about it.
Gary K writes in, Jake is a Swiftie. No, Gary, I'm a Jet fan who despises every team in the AFC East. And the one thing the Jets have over the Bills is that they have won a Super Bowl and Buffalo has not. I'm not risking that with them winning a championship. And Gary, you're the same guy who tried to argue that Aaron Glenn is a better corner than Darrelle Revis. And for that, we will see you in about 5 minutes because you got to learn your lesson in the hole. Because for the life of me, man, or you know what? I won't send him to the hole. I'll send him to the Shadow Realm. I can't take it anymore.
I'm glad to be an Asman Shadow Realm.
Into the Shadow Realm you go.
Aaron Rodgers is a glutton for fame. I don't think he loves his teammates. I think he loves attention.
GFY. First word is go and the last word is yourself.
All right, I got that out of my systems. Continue, Rich. I'm sorry.
That's cool. Two things, if I can get to it. Number one, we all know defensive coaches, what they like is the offense chewing up time to keep the defense fresh. And I think we might be seeing, well, here's my vision is using Hall and Allen like Montgomery and Gibbs. And then as Jake's been saying, by keeping Rodgers, we now have Devontae and Wilson. And we have a pretty damn good team that, if used properly with the right coaching, like Detroit did, can utilize that run game, and the play action because of the scaredness of the run game to throw the ball. We still have to, settle on the tight end situation. But that's what I'm envisioning is going to happen to the Jets this year. They're going to run that type of style, but it has to be with Rodgers this year. And the last thing you guys can talk about after I make this last comment is that like Jake was saying, if Rex can swallow his pride, that's fine. Well, there's another guy who could swallow his pride who wants back in the NFL, and he worked for the Raiders this year, or the Saints this year. What better way to get back into the NFL than being the OC of a team that could play pretty good next year on offense than John Gruden coming back as an OC?
If Rex wants to come in as a DC, I'll be surprised.
No, I'm not talking about Rex. I'm talking about Gruden.
No, but what I mean is, if Rex were to come back, I'd be surprised. I would be shocked out of my mind if Gruden comes back as an OC and not a head coach.
He's not getting a job this year.
But I don't know if he's going to sit there and say, "I'll take an OC job just to get back."
He's begging to come into football. He's working for the Saints to get back into football, and this is a perfect opportunity for him to have one lousy year as an OC to do good with Rodgers and Hall and Adams, and we have 4 out of 5 offensive line coming back. He's going to have a decent year with his brain.
Is there any connection to Glenn and Gruden, though, Rich?
What?
Is there any connection to Gruden and Glenn?
I don't know. Yeah, smarts.
Rich, I'll say this. I'm not sitting here saying he wouldn't be a good idea. He's one of the great offensive minds.
I'm not saying it's going to happen either. It's just what I'm thinking is I'm trying to get to him as an adult saying, this is your best shot to get a head coach offer in 2026.
Listen, I get it. And I wouldn't necessarily disagree with that point. It's just if he wants a coaching job, then get a coordinator job first. I just don't. He's been a head coach now for 20 years. I don't think he's going to come back for a mere OC job.
The other thing is, like I originally was talking about, was my main point was being a defensive coach. I think they're going to utilize that Detroit system of eating the clock and having the Goff was great because he had play action with the threat of Gibbs and Montgomery behind him.
But that's what we were expecting this past year to happen. We thought that Braylon Allen, after a really good preseason, we thought
use him the right way,
able to do it. And yeah, you're right. They didn't use him. They didn't use their running backs the right way at all. I think this year, with a proper offensive system, proper play caller, I think they could certainly use that mindset.
So who's the offensive coordinator that'll emulate that? Is there anybody on Detroit? I hate hiring guys who don't call the plays because you never know what their pedigree is,
Well, I think Caley's probably going to be the favorite with his work with McVay. But like I said before, if they want to bring back Rodgers, I think Kubiak is the best overall fit because he's worked with the West Coast system before.
Who's the one Belichick wants, Caley or Turner?
Turner. Turner's been linked to Belichick at UNC. Caley, I think, Rich, could be linked now to Tampa if Todd Bowles wants to hire him as the OC.
I don't see him hiring Kubiak, not in that offense.
Do you think if Saleh had waited a day, he would have gone with Carroll to Vegas? Because he loves Pete Carroll, and he started there.
I think if he waited a day, if the Jaguars didn't sign Bulky, if the Jaguars didn't fire Bulky, I think Saleh's the head coach of Jacksonville.
No, I meant if everything happened and he went to the 49ers, now that Carroll's head coach at Vegas, do you think he would have gone with his mentor, Pete Carroll?
No, I think he sees what he built in San Fran after the down year they had on defense and says, I can fix it. We can get back to where we are, get back to normalcy and comfortability when it comes to him.
And possibly a better lifestyle for his family in the suburbs than in Vegas.
We'll see.
Yeah, but, I think the Niners is a better job for Saleh. He knows that.
I do too. I was just curious because, that Pete would have called him if he hadn't had a job yet. That's for sure. But okay, guys, I'm just curious, waiting on these head coach hires, and so Westhoff is out of the picture now. I thought he was
not as a full-time coach. He'll be an advisor. He offered his services to Glenn to help out during training camp, mini camp. He won't be the special teams coordinator though.
And what about talk of a football czar? That's out.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Brian Costello said that he wouldn't be surprised if Spielman or Tannenbaum stick around as some sort of I don't want to say football czar because
the Ken Dorsey role, not Ken Dorsey. The GM. Oh, what's his name?
Dimitrov?
No. Oh my
John
God.
Dorsey.
I wanted.
John
I
Dorsey.
wanted Dimitri.
Yeah, John Dorsey.
Yeah.
The John Dorsey role, where he hasn't had a GM role in like a decade, but he's been around each organization as a sort of like football assistant. But again, I don't see that happening because most teams don't do that.
Jake, are you talking about the Spielman from the 33rd team?
Chris Spielman. Yep, absolutely.
So he's going to pull Dick Cheney?
No, not. So that's Rick Spielman, who's with the.
Well, that's why I
team.
asked. So it's not the 33rd team Spielman.
No, it'd be Chris Spielman, I believe. His brother, who's with
Rick
the Lions.
Spielman isn't Rick the one who's the vice president with Tannenbaum?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So there's no Cheney stuff going on.
Not to my knowledge.
We can ask Joe B.
Rich, good call. I appreciate it. All right, we'll do one more for you, Nick, and then we'll get you out of here. I'll stay on for everyone else. Let's say hello right now on the Gusbuster Hotline to Kyle Clifton. What's up, Kyle?
What's up, guys? How are you?
What's up, Kyle?
So, obviously, I don't think that anyone in the fan base really knows too much about Mougey or Brown or even Newmark. I'm just wondering how Newmark kind of tripped himself up. Maybe he has someone who wasn't a fan within the committee there, because it looked like it was real close earlier in the week. Based on the information that I have, I kind of lean Mougey because, that whole trip to the XFL, that's a little bit daunting for me, for a guy to make that leap from being out of the NFL for a couple of years, and then within a few years after that, he's being elevated to the GM of a franchise that I think is, it's the New York market. What do you think the Jets have been any good or not? And they certainly haven't been. So I'm leaning Mougey, and Trey Brown is 5'9", Aaron Glenn is 5'9". That's no fun. So if it's Mougey and
Why
Glenn,
is that
that's
a problem?
Oh, you want to see the 6'6" guy standing next to the 5'9" guy? That'd be hilarious.
Okay.
If he's good at picking players, I don't mind.
Yeah, I don't care one way or the other.
That could be 4'10", and if he picks the right quarterback, I don't think anyone's going to give a crap.
What do I care?
You might be taking me a little bit too seriously there, Nick. But the other thing is I kind of like Kubiak for the OC role, because he's someone that I kind of was thinking that when Saleh was fired back in October, that might make sense to get in a year ahead of for head coach. That's before New Orleans offense kind of bottomed out a little bit, but I don't know if they necessarily had the players this year.
No, they didn't.
Yeah. And I'm fine with Wilkes. I'm fine. There's a whole plethora of special teams guys out there that Aaron should be able to bring in to kind of round out the most important roles on the staff. I think it's time to kind of transition from the fan base and just make peace with the Aaron Glenn hiring and have some optimism, because we know that Saleh and Ulbrich weren't holding anyone accountable. I kind of have the sense that Aaron Glenn will. I mean, he has to prove it on the day-to-day, but we've already seen it not work with guys that we thought were good defensive minds, that we thought were going to be coach the whole team. Let's see if we can give someone who kind of seems like he has a vested interest in the New York Jets being good the chance and see if he can take it from there.
Fair. I'm cautiously optimistic. He's certainly qualified. He's certainly deserving of the opportunity. You love what people have said about him that have played with him, have coached with him, his pedigree as a player and coach, what he's been through. It's just, you never know with any first-timer, and I understand why fans are like, again, with a first-time coach, especially one from a defensive background. So I get all that. I think Aaron Glenn has the chance to be a great coach. I do. I just, want to see it because it's time. I'm tired of losing.
Yeah, goes without saying. Thanks, guys.
Kyle, good call. Nick, your thoughts on hiring a midget at GM or a sumo wrestler at GM? Both ends of the spectrum. Which one do you think has the better ability to pick players?
Whichever the one understands how to develop the quarterback and can find the right quarterback in the draft. It's all that matters, baby.
Incredible. Nick, great stuff, man. Appreciate you having on.
Thanks so much, guys.
Where can people find you?
Nick_Faria 1720. That's a Twitter handle. We've had close to 15, 20 stories in the last 48 hours. We're going to have at least 10 more if they hire the GM today. So make sure you guys follow along, and we'll have everything going out for you guys in the near future.
Ladies and gentlemen, subscribe to Nick, follow him, read him. He's going to get the first question to Aaron Glenn on Monday. I can feel it.
We're going to try.
Nick, thank you, man. Good stuff from Nick Faria there. All right, hit the like button, comments, questions, super chats. We'll cut the line. Let's get some memberships for the people. Dan writes in with a super chat. Can you add an Aaron Glenn jersey to your giveaway? I can. I haven't been able to get one yet, though. I'm waiting for Parts Unknown to add it, and I'm also trying to scour the internet for one, and it's not available yet. I even checked like eBay to see if someone was selling an old one. But yes, we will add some Aaron Glenn stuff as soon as I can get it. Right now, though, we have a Garrett Wilson signed jersey, a Joe Klecko signed jersey, an Aaron Glenn signed trading card, a Breece Hall signed trading card, and the Joe Willie Namath replica Super Bowl ring. So, pretty good. Plus, for those tuning in late, we now have not one but two Aaron Glenn channel emojis for all Asmaniac channel members. Love that. All right, let's get to more of your calls right now. Let's say hello to Sergi, who's next. Hey, Sergi.
What up, Jake? How you doing?
What's up, Sergi? How are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. Congrats to all of us with the new coach. I just wanted to ask you this question. Do you know which candidates of the GM search are more of the contract, lawyer, math, negotiator types versus
the
ones
three?
that
I don't think any of them are the finalists.
Well, that's unfortunate because it seems like, you know, if the, I guess from my perspective, I could be way wrong, and I would love for you to correct me if I am. It seems like the Jets are leaning towards Glenn being the more personnel guys because of his scouting background in like the Kyle Shanahan mold, and I would love to have the GM to kind of fill in the gaps of the skill set that's potentially missing with the more contract guru, type of GM that's more of a lawyer mathematician as opposed to yet another scout. I mean, I don't know. What do you think about that?
So I don't hate your thinking. I do think though that if they hire one of these guys, I think they need to, that's why I've suggested Dimitrov as like the president of football ops, because been a GM before, scout guy, but has ingratiated himself with an analytics company the last 3 years, still works with teams. I think he could kind of do that. I think he could kind of be like a blend of all that. The cap stuff is important though, because the Jets have a lot of guys you're about to extend. You got to figure out Rodgers and Devontae, and so there's something to that. That's why I thought Mike Greenberg was an intriguing candidate, and then he could hire really good football people. Like that's Howie Roseman to a T, kind of what he's doing there. So I don't hate the theory. I just don't know if any of the guys that are actually going to get the GM job are advanced in that. I think they're going to have to hire someone who is.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's hope the guys that are in the finalists are at least competent in that realm. I mean, like it seems like Glenn is going to have, at least from the candidates of the DC and the OC are, at least the DC, Steve Wilkes would be amazing to have some head coaching background, kind of like in the mold of McVay and who was that? Wade Phillips, how he had like an older DC who had like head coaching, experience when McVay was a freshman coach. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of pick your brain on that. Hopefully that these guys know contracts, because we're going to need to sign a lot of them coming up.
Yeah, look, it's going to be important. There's no doubt. I feel like of the guys they've talked to, Trey Brown is the best. Of the three finalists, I like Trey Brown. He's my pick. Guy on the right.
All right. Well, I hope you're right, and I hope the Jets get it right.
That'd be nice. If not,
for once, right?
if not, we'll be here 3 years from now talking about the next coach at GM. Can't wait.
I'll be here too, man.
Sergi, I appreciate it, man. Good call. Hit the like button, comments, questions, super chats. We'll cut the line. PBM says, "Has this guy played a Bond villain?" Hey, Sergi, he's gone. Couldn't get to him. Sergi, did you ever play a Bond villain? Please let us know. Mike wants to know. And, it's a great question. I just saw someone say something that I find to be outrageous. It feels like this guy might be against free speech. Anthony writes in, "No beast. Please keep the show football." I mean, have you heard a Beast Breaker call? The man is passionate about the Jets, and is always talking football. I mean, come on, Anthony. What do you think this is? Amateur hour around here? We're talking football, baby. We're waiting for the Jets to hire a GM. All right? And I'm unleashing the beast.
Holy crap, here comes Beastbreaker 666.
Why don't you get your fat ass on a treadmill and go the distance with me?
Is that Bobby Midnight?
I'm not into politics, and I already told you that.
I may be big, but I'm going to be bad enough to put you out.
Beastbreaker always has some salient points.
Beast, give us some thoughts on the Jets, some football, your thoughts on the GM search. Either of these two guys, Trey Brown or Darren Mougey, intrigue you?
Oh, that's going to be a very big hit in the nuts there. Kind of hard to decide. Trey Brown, heard that name from somewhere before. Wasn't he with the Patriots?
He was. Now he's with the Bengals.
Wait a second. If Vrabel went to the Patriots, how about we take Trey Brown? Give him a nice offer. Maybe $50 million. Maybe I give him a
2 mil. All right.
But 2-year extension, 2. And I want to see how he does first because we have Glenn, but I want to see what this guy can bring to the table. What does he have to offer?
How you feeling about Glenn?
I've known Glenn for years. Smart man, has the tools.
Great leadership like you, right?
That's right. And common sense. This year, no more fooling around. And to all the crybabies on here, our team's going to learn discipline, blood, sweat, tears, ass kicking, and if we get injured, off the field. We're not responsible for the injuries. We're going to make sure you have good health, and we're going to make sure to take good care of you, and we're going to be responsible. That's rule 1. And rule number 2, no fighting. No more of this crying, no more of this whining, and when you jump off sides, we're gonna bitch at you because you screwed up. If you want to be here, fine. But we're not gonna pay you a check because you're gonna sit on your ass and do it. No, you're gonna get off your ass and do it.
Now, Beast, let me ask you this. To your thought on that. Do you believe the Jets can circumvent the CBA and not play players who screw up? Do you think we could do it?
Well, in the words of Doc Brown, if my calculations are correct, if we have our heads out of the water instead of being in hell like we've been the last 14 years, it's time to say, get up. We're not going to the Super Bowl just yet. We got to start down here first. Then we got to, takes baby steps. 1, 2, and 3. It's called thinking skills. This is what we're lacking. Thinking skills. And no more bullshit of, we're going to the Super Bowl. No. We're going to learn firsthand, first serve. We're going to take baby steps. We're going to get back up on our feet. That's rule 1. Then rule number 2, before getting to the division playoffs, we need to learn how to take a beating. And we've done that a long time, but we're going to be the ones that are going to take to the teams the beating. We're the ones that are going to give them a fist across the eye and a good kick in the nuts.
Absolutely, Beast. Look, I thought you made some great points. Obviously, Jay felt otherwise. Now look what you've done. Beastbreaker 666. No more protection from the Asmaniacs. Had to cut your call off and cast you down with the sodomites. Some time in here will feel like you've been run over by the lane train. Do you understand me? You catch my drift?
Are you seriously on crack? I think
give him another 24 hours to think about it.
How about you bending over and taking up the booty hole behind the 7-Eleven?
Thank you, Beast. Look, I thought he was onto something. If the Jets can circumvent the CBA and not pay players who screw up, Michael Clemens would owe the Jets money, right? If we were able to do that this past year. Hassan Reddick would owe the Jets money. All right? And that money should go to the fans. The Jets don't deserve that. These are their decisions. We should be paid. All right? It should go to a fund. It should go to the Asmaniacs. That's where it should go. But I thought Beast was on something there, and obviously Jay felt otherwise. That's his right. For all callers, we have a bounty price. If you gift 10 memberships and you say it's for bounty purposes, Beast understands. He's a capitalist. He made some salient points there, though. There's no doubt. All right, 10 names to read. The Turtle, Nathan, Christopher Pagoli, Jazz, Donovan T, Jason F, Island Penguin, Kyle, Pauline, Felonzak, all receiving channel memberships. Alscar Capone also getting a channel membership. What a name. What a name. Big fella, super chat. How did Butterball escape the hole? Security needs to be upped. Look, he escaped because the whole sentence was over after yesterday. It's a new day. It's the dawn of a new beast. And if you want more Beast Breaker, his bounty is a $50 super chat or 10 memberships. Let me know if that's what it's for. Ladies and gentlemen, there was a lot of controversy on yesterday's show. Beast Breaker actually wasn't involved in most of it for once. The brother of this guy was the focal point. Robert Woodruff and Dave Briga, they had it out yesterday at the end of my first show. Then by the time the second show started, they were singing Kumbaya, and they were on the same page. For more on this, and for more on the latest in his life, we say hello to Mikey Midnight. Hello, Mikey.
Hey, how you doing, buddy?
What's up, Mikey?
You know, I think that Aaron's gonna take the Jets to the Super Bowl next year. We're going to play Detroit Lions in the Super Bowl.
You think the Lions are going to be back? Aaron Glenn versus old team?
Yeah, definitely. I feel it in my bones.
I hope you're right.
And I think, you know, who's the offensive coach? Mark Brunell.
You know, he's rumored to be in the mix.
Yeah, I think it's going to be good for Aaron Rodgers, man. Aaron Glenn said, I'll take care of the team, both sides of the field. He promised. And he knows me. Aaron Glenn knows me very well. Because he knows I'm the biggest Jet fan there is in the whole world. And I love you, Brother Jake. And Todd the Beast, I love him too. The Beast guy, the funny guy.
You like Beast Breaker?
Yeah, he's funny. He makes me
like
so he makes me laugh. It's funny. It's like a comedian. People don't understand. People don't understand him. I do. He makes me laugh. He's a big teddy bear. He's a big teddy bear. It's nice and soft and cuddly.
I love it.
Yeah, everybody should love this guy. And no one's perfect, right? No one's perfect. I mean, the Jets not even perfect, but we still love the Jets. I can't believe that, you?
It's a great point. The Jets are definitely not perfect.
I'm in the kitchen. You could hear me now, right?
You sound great, Mikey. This is the clearest you've ever sounded on this show.
Yeah, because I enjoy talking to you guys. Here's my prediction. Washington's going to upset the Eagles, right?
Okay.
And Kansas City is going to beat stupid Buffalo. You know what Buffalo means?
What does it mean?
Poop mafia. Poop mafia. And then you know who's going to the Super Bowl? Washington Redskins go beat the Kansas City 27-21 in the Super Bowl with the
wow. You think Jaden Daniels is a rookie? He's going to win the whole thing?
Yeah, he's going to throw this weekend. He's going to throw 392 yards this weekend.
I love it.
In the Super Bowl, he's going to throw 400 yards. He's going to break another record. Yeah,
he might. The way he's playing right now, you can't rule it out, Mike. You're right.
Yeah, you know, Rex Ryan wants to be a defensive coach.
I hope he does for the Jets. I hope he does.
Yeah, I hope he goes for the Jets. He knows the Aaron Glenn. Well, Rex Ryan, he will work with him, right? So, and then the other guy, you know who I want as a backup quarterback?
Who?
The guy from I like the guy from what's his name? Pittsburgh Steelers, Justin Fields.
Justin Fields.
Yeah, he could move. At least he could move around. He still is staying like a statue.
He's like you. I saw you moving and grooving at our meetup for the Texans game. You were running around.
Yeah, that was fun, wasn't it? All those pretty girls I was dancing with. And these 6 other guys ready to want to dance with us. I think
now you know he's a Woodruff. He brought up the women. Nick Shine writes in, Mikey, you're my homeboy, and I love you, but not in a gay way.
Yeah, that's true. I love you in a gay way, Nick, because you know why? You love the Jets, too, yeah.
Love it.
You know what? If the Patriot fans are getting mad at me now. We go only want to go to the Jets against the Patriots. You want to go to the game, Jets and the Patriots game?
Yeah, I wanted the Jets to beat them again like they did in September.
Yeah, I'm going to go down. We're going to put a smack down on Rabel. Rabel's going to finish 5-10, 5-12.
I love it. I hope so. Now, Mikey, let me ask you this. Your brother got very mad at me yesterday, and I don't know what I did. I was just trying to ask about his situation with Dave Briga. I just wanted them to get along. I'm glad they made up, but then Bobby got very mad at me. What were your thoughts?
I don't know. I know he's going through a good time, trying to get the job at Burger King.
Yep.
But I think he should get a job at the nursing home, and he likes working with older people, and they're looking for help in food service. I hope we'll help him out.
That'd be great.
I got connections, you know.
You know people, Mikey. You're a big name around your area.
Yeah, and I work at the Brattleboro Hospital as a housekeeping. As I was telling everybody, Rico, I got my buddy Aaron Glenn. I told everybody. Remember I told you he's going to sign before go to work, and he did.
He did.
He made it.
Did.
He made it.
Hey, Mikey.
To me.
Mikey, can you send me, or I guess I'll get it from Bobby. Can you send me your address? I've been raffling away an Aaron Glenn trading card, but I have a second one I was going to use next week. I'm just going to send it to you because you're such a big fan. All right. It's a signed card by Aaron Glenn.
Yeah, that would begin. I want to call him tomorrow. I want to call the Jets and ask Aaron Glenn if I could get his jersey. He would probably give me for free, and I go hand it up and let him sign it.
Well, I'm going to send you a signed Aaron Glenn card. Here, look at the screen. This is what it looks like. All right, this is going to be for you.
Oh, that is great. I want to show all the Patriots fans. Look at what I got now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Buffalo. If the Buffalo went to the Super Bowl, they're going to lose 5 Super Bowls. That would be funny.
I hope they don't even go. I don't even want them there, Mike. I just want them to lose and experience the pain of not even getting there again.
Yeah, I can't stand Buffalo. They look like turds. And you know what I was thinking after this year when the Jets should keep Aaron Rodgers for one more year. Then let him be offensive coach too. Help him with the team. He could buy the team. He could pay out the owner, and the owner could retire. He wants to retire her.
That'd be great. I'd rather Aaron own the team than Woody. That'd be awesome. Why not?
Yeah, he has the money. He's will own a basketball team too. Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, he has part ownership of the Bucks.
Yeah, and then with Tom Brady, you want Tom Brady? His kind of confused. Yeah, him and Tom Brady will fight for #1 seed. That would be pretty cool, right?
I love it. Now, Mikey, I know what time are you working today? What's the schedule like?
4:32. Actually 4 to 9:30.
Wow, you ready to go? You got the energy? You're gonna be working hard.
Yeah, I go bring my hot chocolate with me because it gets cold at night. But I do a real good job. They like, and the president of the hospital, he loves the Eagles. He knows I love the Jets. And then I talk about sports to him all the time. And he thinks the Washington's going to be a scary team, too. I think the Washington's going to win the whole thing.
I'll tell you what, they have a chance. They have a real chance, Mikey. I'm excited.
Yeah, I got 2 friends who are Washington Redskins fans. One works at the Price Chopper in Brattleboro, and one works at at the hospital with me. He's named Jeff. He works in the gym. So I going to the gym back on Monday. Today was too cold to do anything. So I was happy I talked to you, Jake. You too?
Mikey, you're the man. You got to keep calling in more. There's a lot of people in the chat who are loving your calls, and they think that you have a legitimate chance of making a deep run in Asmaniac Madness. How crazy would it be if you got matched up at one point with your brother in one of the matchups?
I like your hat, a Jake Asman hat. I like your Jake Asman hat.
You want a Jake Asman hat?
Yeah, $10 I gave you.
I gave you $10 for the shoes.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
I'm going to send you a hat. All right. I'm going to send you the
Yeah.
Aaron Glenn card, and I'm going to send you a. Do you want this hat, or you want one that says Jake Asman Show?
No, I like the Asman. Asman.
You want an Asmaniac hat?
Yeah.
I got you. All right. I'm gonna send you this one.
All right, that'll be cool, right?
Yeah.
And then you know where I live? You know where I live?
I'll get your info. All right.
Yeah, tell Bobby. Bobby knows my address. Actually, you want my number?
Here's what you could do. All right. Write it in the well, actually, I don't want to even do that. There's too many people on hold.
Well, actually, you know who has my number?
Who has your number?
Reed. You know Reed? W-E-E-D. Reed.
I don't know Reed. I'll just ask your brother. I have Bobby's info. I'll get it from your brother.
Yeah, Nick knows Reed. The Reed guy. He likes to smoke pot.
Yeah.
Yeah, Reed. He goes on. He's on the show a lot.
I'll get it. You're saying we. I thought you were saying Reed. You mean Weed the people?
No, Reed. Yeah, you know the guy.
Yes, I know. I'll take care of this, Mikey. Don't worry. I got all your info. I know the right people. I will send you an Asmaniac hat, and when I get the Aaron Glenn card that should be arriving any day now, I'm going to send it your way. All right.
When is the Jets are playing the Patriots next year? You know.
We don't know yet. The schedule's not out till till May.
Oh yeah, that stinks. And you know what the draft pick? What the Jets should do with the draft pick?
What should they do?
Get a defensive guy. Get a monster. Get a big monster. And attack the quarterback. I know which one. The guy from Michigan. Yeah. The big guy. Yeah, let's go, right?
Hey, Mikey, I need Gator to make some intros and outros for you. I only have like 17 for your brother. I need some Mikey Midnight intros now.
Oh, you know what I could say? The Mikey is the best. He's the best. He's the best Jet fan. He's a good rapper, and I love you guys because I love my Jets. I love everybody on Jake Asman Show. Let's rock the house. And you know what Jake Asman is cooking.
Ladies and gentlemen, the great, the tremendous Mikey Midnight.
All right.
Now that's a great call right there. That is a great call. I'll tell you what. Forget being a play-in tournament for Mikey Midnight. I mean, he's going to be ranked. He's in the tournament. Love that. Comments, questions, super chats. We'll cut the line. That's so funny that he was calling Weed the People Reed. I'm going to start calling Weed the People Willis Weed. 25 writes in, I love you, Mikey. March Mikey making a run. Amen. Addison writes in, Mikey's my brother from another mother. Nick Shine says, just send the best of the best trophy to Mikey now. He's got a chance, man. He really does. It's kind of funny because that's what Bobby used to be like when he first started calling the show. He was that joyful. That's what I mean when I say Bobby's changed due to the fame and stardom of the Asmaniac universe. Jay writes in, Mikey, VP of Football Ops, Bobby GM. I'm it. Maybe they could go better than 30-64. Love that. We do need a Mikey Edgemo as well. Nate says, Jake, please have a beat ready for Mikey next time. That's in the hands of Gator. I can't do anything. I actually can do something, though. All right. I've been working on a new hat for the merch store, and I believe it's now live. Let me just check that real quick, and I can announce it here on the show. Maybe, you know what, Mikey? I'm going to send you. I'll send you both of these. We'll send you the Asmaniac one you want, and a brand new hat that I just added to the merch store based on a lot of people requesting this style. So no one's bought it yet because I literally uploaded it seconds before the show started. But brand new hat in the Jake Asman merch store. The Jake Asman rope hat. Only comes in black for right now. They don't have a white one available. But it's black with the logo, and it's sweet. All right? JakeAsman.com. The snapback rope hat. And it's fresh. Check it out. Patreon users, 20% off with the code. We have it out there right now. So first item, brand new. A lot of people wanted a rope hat for the golf course or just for casual wear, and it is there at jakeasman.com. Comments, questions, super chats, we'll cut the line. Nick Shine writes in, tournament canceled, 63 others just forfeited. Well, there's 68 in the field, Nick. Isn't that nuts? And we're leaving out some pretty good callers, too. It's just you can't get everyone in there. It's insane. More calls right now. Let's say hello to the big fella. Hello, big fella.
Hey, man.
What's up?
I was just doing my warden duties, man. So
yeah, I see. I have like 87 messages in the private chat, and it's just you and Beast fighting. So what else is new?
It's a rehab that is not going as planned, man.
No, I mean he's never gonna change. He's the Beast, man. You gotta let Beast be the Beast, and when he gets sent to the hole, that's it. You know, that's how it goes.
Some language that he said in the chat was inappropriate, so I had to go at him a little bit. You know, so
what is it a day that ends with a Y?
What's that?
I said it's a day that ends with a Y. Yeah, Beast break.
Yeah. No, that's true. That's true.
He's
it's really hard. He's like, it's difficult. I don't even have any Jet stuff to talk about today. I'm just doing my job as the warden, man.
What did you think of the Mikey Midnight call? Do you think did it remind you of Bobby Midnight at the very beginning?
I love Mikey Midnight. He is a angelic soul, man, and I wish him nothing but the best. Bobby, I love Bobby too, but Bobby has been infected with this virus of like anger, and he's got to go back to the good side. I love him, but he's he has to come back. That's all I gotta say.
He has to come back.
He has to.
I agree. I think it's in there.
I think I know it's in there. It's like when Vader threw the Emperor over the thing, and then he went back and he's talking. Yep. That's what's got to happen. He's got to throw the negativity over and come back to us, man. That's it. Get on that walking pad, Bobby. We love you.
Amen. Amen.
So, anyway, I'm just trying to handle this hole, and that's what she said. But I'm trying to handle this here, and it's not easy. Let's just say that.
Well, big fella, keep up the good work, man.
Thanks, man. I'm trying.
You're a legend.
Bobby escaped yesterday. It's never going to happen again.
He did escape somehow.
Yeah, I know. He pulled the Shawshank.
Andy Dufresne,
right?
Big fella, keep up the great work.
Thank you, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, the big fella. Comments, questions, super chats. We'll cut the line. Let's check in right now with Buffet Breaker 666. What's up, Buffet?
Hey there, Jake. Thanks for having me on here. I'm also known as Belt Buster, Belt Breaker. I just wanted to say hi, and I want to talk football first. I know I normally don't talk football. When I do, I say the same shit every goddamn time. But there's something about Aaron Glenn I just don't like. It's really hard for me to put my finger on it. Oh, wait, he's black. I don't like black. And that's my biggest problem with Aaron Glenn. So there's that. I just wanted to put that out there.
Whoa, Buffet Breaker, calm down, man. All right, you're taking this too far.
The only dark meat I like is turkey legs. I just wanted to put that out there as well. And also, speaking of turkeys and jabronis, I just wanted to show you my newest collection of hot sauces. This is Crystal. This is the only Crystal that's ever let me take them home, let me tell you. I also got Frank's wing sauce. And when I'm really feeling spicy, sriracha sauce. It's actually the only way I can get an erection is putting a few drops on there. It's the only thing I can do. I got a new shirt. You see this tag? I keep the tags on it because unless someone invents a shirt that changes sizes every 2 weeks, I'm probably going to have to return this one. So that's why I keep the tags on there so I can go back to my local Walmart and get a 4X next time. I got meal tickets here for anyone that needs them because all you guys suck. All right, I'm out. Have a good one.
All right, Buffet. Appreciate the call. For those who don't get the references, that is a Beastbreaker impression. God. That was something. Well done. Papa Jet says, I absolutely love this show. 50% Jets, 50% Days of Our Lives. well done. Well done. Man. All right. I don't know where we go after that. I don't even know where we go after that. Comments, questions, super chats. We'll cut the line. Official combine dates just got announced, for those curious. I will be in Indy again for the second year in a row doing the show from there. We had Rich Eisen on last year amongst our awesome guests. We will be live. Let's see. So the on-field events are Thursday, February 27th through Sunday, March 2nd. We'll be live Tuesday, February 25th through Saturday, March 1. Or Friday, whatever. Figure it out. Big Fella says, this super chat is because Buffet Breaker made me laugh my ass off. That's awesome. That was great. Buffet Breaker, well done. That was that was incredible. I'm seeing what, Mougey GM? Is that the rumblings here? Josina Anderson, a high-level league source tells me Denver Broncos assistant GM Darren Mougey is getting the Jets job. Do we trust Josina Anderson? She has broken stories before, but she's the only one that has it right now. I'm not saying she's wrong. I just would prefer to see Schefter have it or Ian Rappaport. Mougey. Let's see. Anyone else reporting this? It's probably going to be him. I just would prefer to have someone else besides Josina on it because she's, all over the place a lot of times. Let's see. Super chat from Sergi. We're going to end the show and come right back with a separate one for Glenn or for Mougey if it is confirmed. Sergi says, I have not played a Bond villain, but I would make a good one, though. 6 feet tall, fluent in Russian, fits stereotype well. Go Jets. That does fit the stereotype well. If anyone else sees someone else besides Josina report this, we'll break it down. Jets West says, Will Parkinson said he's been trying to hint at Moog to the past thing. I mean, it's probably him. I just want, before we go full breakdown, end the show, come back with the breaking news one that's going to have, 20,000 views on it. I want to make sure we don't end this current show for nothing. So we'll keep checking. Comments, questions, super chats. They'll cut the line. A lot of people want in on the conversation, so we'll continue your calls. What I do want to play, though, is a little Aaron Glenn conversation here. All right. Here's Aaron Glenn talking about his first conversation with Bill Parcells after Parcells took over and became the Jet coach.
We all know that you're going to be a head coach really soon. But what you going to do, AG, if somebody run into your office like you ran in Parcells' office and ask him if he was finna trade you?
Man, that was the dumbest thing ever.
What happened now?
Oh, man.
They don't know the story, AG, man. You got to tell
the story, man. So, man, what was this? This was 97.
90-something.
It was 97. And so I'm hearing all these stories, Parcells like these 6-foot corners, he's 6'2", and hell, I ain't that, and I'm hearing all these, well, he's going to trade you because you're not his type. So I keep hearing all these stories, but he wasn't telling me this, so I know my mentality and who I am, so I'm going to try him. So I'm going to go up there and ask him, man, if you're going to trade me, then trade me, So he told me to shut that door, and I did. He said, have a seat. I sat there, he said, listen, everybody got a price on their head. Right? My own wife got a price on her head. If somebody was to offer me a good deal, then she gonna be gone. So if somebody offered me a good deal for you, you gonna be gone. I had to respect it.
Right.
I said, yes, sir, and walked on. That made sense to me.
Yeah.
If somebody offered me something for you, right, it's a good deal, man, you out. And man, that just opened my eyes to, man, Like, this is a business.
Right.
At first, man, I'm just playing. And I just started to realize, man, this is a true business now. Now, regardless of how I felt, like, our relationship didn't change, but I understood exactly how the business was. And, man, that's just taught me a lot from then on.
All right, we're back. We're still waiting on word on Mougey here. I tried to do some texting just now. It's not done yet. Josina's still the only one that has it. I'm not saying she's wrong. I just would prefer one other person to confirm it before we go nuts for those just tuning in. But it does feel like signs point to Mougey being the general manager, which, look, he's a guy, if you do some digging on him, is a scout at heart. He was roommates with Kevin O'Connell. So, that I don't know if that makes him a good GM or not, but he's been around football his whole life. I'm just seeing this. Mike Ruttenberg, Jets linebacker coach, is being hired by the Falcons. So Ulbricht's bringing one of the coaches from the Jets with him. Ruttenberg's actually pretty good. See, like, that's the misconception with Saleh. Saleh didn't hire a good offensive staff. The defensive coaches did a good job. We saw player development there. Quincy, Jamie Sherwood. Like, that wasn't the problem. It was the offensive side that was. Let's see. I keep refreshing Twitter here to see if we got anything. And I don't have it right now. But more on Mougey. Area scout under John Elway. I went from area scout to assistant GM in 3 years. So from 2019 to his current role. I mean, I'd imagine Aaron Glenn wouldn't sign off on Mougey unless he called Sean Payton first, who he has a very close relationship with, obviously. So, you're putting your faith in Aaron Glenn, basically. Cheats fan writes in, I'm leaving in 50 minutes if you could pull me in before the show ends. All right, ladies and gentlemen, start the clock. 50 minutes or less for the great Cheats fan, who, by the way, I did officially hit him with a PayPal. Thanks to everyone who contributed. Cheats fan has $100 of Asmaniac cash to have the best Super Bowl, or I keep saying Super Bowl, the best AFC Championship watch party of his life. Remember, Jets fans for Cheats fans. Love it. More of your calls right now. Philly Noodles is up next. What's up, Philly? Philly, you got to unmute the mic.
What's up, man?
Yes.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's a little crazy in the chat over here. I had to stop communicating. It's getting crazy in here.
You're doing it to yourself, man. You're doing it to yourself.
Well, you know what? He went a little too far, but I mean, I don't know.
You're baiting him. Don't acknowledge him in the hole. That's what you're doing.
When you start getting racist, it's kind of.
But like I'm reading all this here, and you're both going at him. Like.
Well, I don't know. Racism isn't cool, but
obviously it's not cool. But I'm seeing here you're baiting someone who's clearly not in a good headspace right now.
No. That's why I was like, all right, yeah, I can't with the guy. With Mougey, I mean, to me, I feel like, well, first off, I was going to first bring up with Newmark. It seems like everyone, you and Faria before were talking about what's going on with Phil Savage. I felt like if you bring in Newmark, you kind of have a Phil Savage on your hands. When we already have a Phil Savage in our hands in the locker room already and in the office. So if you keep him around, I could see it like being okay for transitional purposes to keep Phil. It's not like they already came out and said they're firing Phil Savage. They'll probably demote him. I feel like maybe keep him would be a smart idea, maybe bringing in Mougey or whoever you bring in. I think that's why Newmark just didn't stick to me. That's what I feel. And then with Mougey, you kind of have, I think, a double-headed sword. He can either go the route of staying with Rodgers, which, some of the fan base completely wants, or, what he just did and what they did over there with Russell Wilson's contract, they can move off of Aaron with Mougey, knowing that he just did that. I think that's why he became a finalist, knowing what just happened with Denver and how they moved off of a large contract, got a rookie, made the playoffs in 1 year with Sean Payton, of course, but Glenn's almost a disciple of Sean Payton. So it kind of, I think it lends credence and hand to that situation possibly happening that way. That's why I think they would go Mougey, and I'm with that. I'd rather move away from the money now instead of kicking the books back next year. But yeah, I'm interested to see what happens. Period. End of story.
I believe Mougey is 5'9", so we have a 5'9" coach and a 5'9" GM.
No, Mougey's 6'6", isn't he? He's a taller dude.
I don't think Mougey is. I think Trey Brown's the taller dude.
Oh, all right. Yeah, but yeah, this will be it'll be interesting. I mean, I just see Mougey going that route if he had to, cut bait on Rodgers and do what they did in Denver.
I hope not. I think that'd be a terrible decision. I'd fire Mougey if that's what he wants, Philly. I'm just kidding, but no, I hope not. Mougey 6'6". What? Why is someone saying? I just saw Will Pod tweet he's 5'9". Did I see the tweet? Well, it's hard to do breaking news when it's not actually confirmed yet and do the show. So bear with me, please. Oh, okay, I read it wrong. Okay, yes, Moogs is 6'6". So Will was saying Glenn 5'9", Moogs 6'6". So we'll see. All right. Jets media confirmed. What does that mean, Jets media? Like Richie from Jets media? That's not. I love Richie, but he's a YouTuber. He's not. He could just be co-twinning Josina. People, we got to get better at identifying sources around it. People, that's not a confirmed report. It's not official yet. The only national reporter to say it is Josina Anderson right now. It's probably him, but I'm not doing the whole it's him and then ending the show and starting all of it again. Look, we don't know. We don't know any GM. Joe Douglas is as qualified as any general manager candidate they could have hired, and he wasn't good enough. Did some good things, but obviously the record's the record. So I hope this guy's good. Obviously, Aaron Glenn is a major voice in this decision. I do think, even if it doesn't happen this second, they are going to hire a GM today because they have Aaron Glenn's press conference for Monday already scheduled at 1 p.m. So if that's the case, you would imagine they'd want to have it with the GM as well and do them both at the same time. Plus, as I see someone in the comment wrote, Anthony, you got the Senior Bowl next week. To those saying I'm seeing it all over, yes, people are aggregating Josina's report. But it is not official until someone else confirms it. That's how media literacy works with this. Some info on Mougey here. We'll read you Zach Rosenblatt's tweet. Real presence about him. Not talking about his size. High IQ, skilled at relationship building, dealing with ownership. I mean, he has been around for, 3 ownership changes in Denver? Building a staff, background in both college and pro scouting, worked his way up the ladder. Similar personality-wise to Kevin O'Connell. That was his roommate in college. Been in Denver a long time, multiple regimes. George Payton liked him enough to promote him upon arriving. Built good relationship with Sean Payton, who's obviously one of Aaron Glenn's mentors. People feel he's ready to be a GM. So a positive assessment. But, no one's going to say anything bad about the guy. Let's get someone to confirm it, and then we'll really break it down. Trey says, isn't Josina legitimate? Not exactly. Not what I know. She's probably right. Like, I'm sure she's not making that up, but have you guys ever tried to read her tweets and the wording she uses? Just wait for Schefter 5 minutes from now. Then we'll end the stream and go live for breaking news. More of your calls right now. Jersey Jet is next. What's up, Jersey Jet?
Hey, what's going on, Jake? Am I choppy?
You sound okay.
All right. First of all, I want to say something to the relatively new subscribers, because like the last 3,000 subscribers, there's been a lot of funny shit going on in the chat, and we here for something different. If you into bigotry or racism, being a racist and all that good shit, there's plenty of places on YouTube for you to find a family and a community. But don't bring that here, man. We here for football, bro. That's all we here for, man. So keep that other shit where it's supposed to be. JETS, Jets. I'm out.
Well, it shouldn't be anywhere, Jersey Jet. It's kind of the point. You know, goes without saying. It's not new within 3,000 subscribers. I have 41. Omari, super chat. Wayne Corbett said he would like to join the staff. If Wayne Corbett wants a role in the staff, I think any Jet fan would be nuts to not be excited about that. You're curious to see how many Jet alumni will be on the staff. I know Victor Green has said he'd love to be involved. As he said on the Gangs All Here podcast that he texted Aaron Glenn, I'm here if you need me. So we'll see. I would love Wayne Corbett on the coaching staff. That'd be awesome. I guess Robbie wouldn't be able to do his podcast with him anymore, though. That happens. More of your calls as we await confirmation on Mougey being the GM.
Chicken with pasta is worse than peanut butter with sandwich.
What up, Jake?
Hello, Gary. You're dressed up as Captain America today, I see.
Yeah. I'm just confused. Like I didn't see this coming with Mougey. What are your thoughts on that? Like I just wasn't. I know they had a second interview scheduled, but that surprised me too.
I mean, I'm glad it wasn't just, hey, Newmark's the guy and that's it. You know, they did multiple second round interviews. I'm not going to pretend like I know much about Mougey. We don't know. You know, you can only go by what people around the league say about him. You can look at his resume. You know, but you could be like the most qualified candidate, like Joe Douglas, and not be good. So you never know with any GM.
What exactly was his job title? Assistant GM with Denver? Is that what he was?
Let's see what his actual title is, because Darren Mougey, Broncos. Assistant GM.
All right. I mean, I guess he's got some qualifications. It wasn't the name that I was expecting, but that's all right. The thing, when you had Nick on earlier, I don't ever want to hear the word tank again. Someone, I don't know, I had just tuned in, and Nick and them were saying we're not going to tank next. There's no tank. I don't. First of all, it's not basketball or baseball. It's not baseball. You can just play a bunch of AAA guys and get them at bats. It's not basketball where you can't tank in football. You're going to get somebody killed. You put out the second units and say you don't really go all out and rest your starters. You're going to get your running backs and your quarterbacks absolutely killed. You can't tank in football. There's no tanking. I don't ever want to hear anyone say tank ever again. If the Jets went, 4-13 or 2-15 next year and they ended up with Arch Manning, could there be some benefit to that? Perhaps. But we're not going to tank a season in football. You're going to get somebody killed. It's a horrible idea. Can we never, ever use the word tank on this show in reference to the Jets ever again?
I hope, but you know how people are. They're not gonna think that way.
I understand.
They're going to lose their first game and tank the season. Like, that's how fans are. You can't go into the year trying to tank, You just can't, especially not with this team. Win as many games as possible, and they're out of it, then, yeah, there's going to be people rooting for losses. Fine.
I'm not saying they're a Super Bowl team, but your team is too good. You have too many good players on this team to tank. You can't just
and when they've been bad enough to tank, they don't do that right either. The Jets haven't had the number one pick in the draft since 2000 or since 1996.
I don't even understand how you would tank. Are you going to sit Breece Hall? You're going to sit Garrett? Like, I don't understand how you even tank in football. You want guys not to play with max effort? You'll get somebody killed. You can't do that in football. You got 300 pounders teeing off on you. You can't do that. right? Like you got to play every single game to win, or don't play at all. There's no tanking in football because I don't ever want to hear tank with this season or any season ever again. There's no tanking in football. You get somebody killed. Is that going to work? No
It
tanking.
doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. And when the Jets have been bad enough to be picking first overall, they never do. So I'm not banking on that. And look at the teams that are left. Like 3 of the 4 teams that are playing didn't need to be picking in the top 5 to get their franchise quarterback. There's multiple ways to find a franchise quarterback besides having the tank.
Agreed. Like you could trade up, you could draft well. There's good quarterbacks. Pick 10, pick 7. There's good quarterbacks that you don't have to tank. And like you can't do what the Brooklyn Nets are doing.
Also,
and play
I
12
misspoke.
guys.
97 was the last time. I forgot. I confused 96 and 97. 97, they had the number 1 pick.
Oh, Keyshawn, 97?
Well, Keyshawn was 96.
96. They had the first pick in 96 and 97?
I think so. Yeah, right? That sounds right.
They went 1 and 15 and 3 and 13 in back-to-back years.
Yeah, they traded out of the number 1 pick, and Parcells took Farrier. They should have taken Orlando Pace.
Yeah, they should have. But Faria was a really good Jet. I mean, what other? I mean, yeah, Pace was amazing, but
Hall of Famer.
Yeah, Faria used to get 120 tackles a year. Faria was a really, really good Jet. I get it. It's not Orlando Pace. I get it. But did you get a bunch of other players with that? I don't know. I don't know what else you got in that trade.
Hold on, Gary. I just saw a comment here from Jet West. Schefter said Mougey isn't official yet. Where did he say that, Jet West? I didn't see a tweet for that. But this is why I didn't want to jump the gun and say that it happened, because Josina is not always right. That's why I wasn't, we got to talk about it like it's a done deal just yet. He said it on TV, apparently. All right, yeah. So it's not done yet. So for those tuning in, thinking the Jets hired Mougey, not necessarily.
And also, I am officially politicking for Decker to be in the pool of 68. We need Decker in the pool. She has to be in the tournament. I'm officially politicking for that. Decker needs to be in the tournament. She can make a run. So, like, I look at it like those last seeds that we put in. Can that person go on, pull up upsets, or are they just going to get blown out in the first round? I think we all agree that Decker can pull upsets. Decker can make a run. She needs to be in the tournament.
Decker, I definitely think should be in the tournament. We got to get her to call in a couple more times, and I feel like she'll be in.
All right, we can do that. I'll have her do her part. We need to get her in. And she can pull some upsets. Like, I guarantee you, if it's Decker versus Beastbreaker in the first round, that's an upset. Decker's beating her.
Decker would smoke Beastbreaker in that matchup. I think Decker's beloved. Beastbreaker's too polarizing.
So I'm saying Beastbreaker is going to get a pretty high seed, but I think he's going to be one and done. Like he gets a 4 seed or 3 seed. Like I think he gets that, but I think he's one and done. I think he's going to lose in the first round.
I think you versus Decker would be the matchup to watch in the first round.
If Decker beats me, that's fine.
What do we make you guys, like an 8-9 seed?
I'm higher than an 8 or a 9 seed. I'm a top 4 seed. I'm not trying to be like they put me in the top 10 every month. Like that means they like what I'm doing.
I think you've had a great month where you might be the number 1 ranked caller for January.
It's tough though, because I know you got a guy on hold right now in the chat who's just like, how do you beat him?
Who?
Chiefs fan.
Yeah, I mean,
he's tough to beat.
Chiefs fan didn't get
always good.
Chiefs fan didn't get hit by a car this month, and reveal that after I asked you, hey, could you do the moonwalk? And that being the reason why you couldn't. Chiefs fan, to my knowledge, hasn't weighed in on the moon landing being fake, inciting a brawl between you and one of our longtime listeners, Dave Briga. I think you have a lot going for you, Gary.
It's been a good month. It's been a hectic month. It's been a good month. Look, I don't control where they put me. They've been fair with me so far, I think. So, but wherever they put me is where they put me. But I'll be in the tournament, and then it's just beat the man in front of you.
It feels like, by the way, Josina jumped the gun if Schefter's saying it's not done yet. So we'll see. We'll keep checking. I hate when this happens. I hate when reporters jump the gun just to try to be first, and a lot of times they're wrong. So annoying. Ralph says, do we have updates on offensive and defensive coordinator? No new names have emerged there today. I think they're going to get the GM hire first, and then we'll hear more about Aaron Glenn's coaching staff after that.
And I'm a little late to the party. Did the Raiders hire Pete Carroll? Did that happen?
They did.
Okay. That's a weird move from the Raiders. Okay.
I like it because they're in a division with stacked quarterbacks and great coaches. Their only chance to compete, because they don't have a quarterback, is to bring in a great coach who could hire a good staff and try and stabilize things for them.
Fair enough. Like, that's true. I get it. All right. Yeah. Try to outperform, have your talent outperform. I get it. It's a tough division. The same thing with Chicago. Like, on paper, Chicago looks like a really good job, but then you put it in that division and you have to play Murderer's Row every year. I don't know. Is Chicago that good of a job? I get, like, you got Caleb, you got some talent, but look at the division you have to play it. Like, that's murder for a first-time head coach.
Yeah, but the quarterback is everything. Look at the Lions turned it around, and that division was murder when they first got there. You gotta build it up, but you gotta get the quarterback right, and they already think they have their quarterback in Caleb. They just need to coach him up.
So you got 6 games a year against the Vikings, the Lions, and the Packers.
Yeah, but do we know what the Vikings are going to be? Like, I could see the Vikings taking a step back.
Taking a step back, yeah. It's football. People step back all the time. Windows close quickly.
And also, the Lions could take a step back, too. Look how hard it was for the Eagles the year after they went to the Super Bowl when they lost both their coordinators. Now, Detroit's losing both their coordinators and a bunch of other assistants.
If they take a step back, they're still 11, 12-1 team. Like, they're a really talented team. You know what I'm saying?
Guess,
if they take a step back, they're still good.
Yeah. But my point is, that to me is a better job in Chicago than the Raider job.
For sure it's a better job. Yeah, there's not much there. The Raiders job, the Raiders job is probably the worst job. Like, even New England, I think highly of Drake May. A lot of people think highly of Drake May. The division's not great. Like, New England's got nothing, but at least you think they have Drake May in place. Like, at least you got that. The Raiders don't even have that.
They do not? No.
I got my parlay screwed up this morning in a fight in Japan. A -900 favorite. Lost. Split decision. I didn't see it. I woke up too late. Guy was -900 who had my parlay. Lost. A split decision. Goki Kobayashi. This is the most guaranteed thing. -900 favorite.
His last name can't be Kobayashi. You're messing with us.
Same as a hot dog guy. Yeah.
Actually?
Japanese fighter. His name is Goki Kobayashi. He fought on the Inoue card this morning.
Goki Kobayashi?
Goki, Goki Kobayashi. Don't ask me to spell Kobayashi.
Goki Kobayashi. Man.
105-pounder.
Dave Brigger writes in, people trash Pete as being old. See, Dave? Old people could still get jobs. If I was Bobby Midnight, I'd say old people like you. I'm just kidding. I mean, what a turn of events, by the way. Bobby and Dave, just like that, made up and they're on good terms. I'm still not over that.
You've never gotten into a fight with a guy and then 2 hours later you're cool?
That was very quick, though, especially for Bobby standards.
Bobby is a pretty understanding guy. We just talk to him. Bobby apologizes. You apologize to him, and we're good. You're good.
Yeah, of course. I love Bobby, but usually it takes longer than like an hour and a half or whatever it was.
He gets so mad. Like, he gets so mad.
I can have my own show by myself. I don't kiss anybody's ass. Craig is kissing Jake's ass a lot. I know he's kissing Jake's ass. I'm surprised his lips are not still stuck to him. I don't see Craig in the chat. Do you guys see Craig in the chat? I don't see Craig in the chat.
He's in the chat.
I see his name, but I don't recognize him. You gave him a nice $20. And then what you wrote on that? Oh, yeah. I love you, Craig. I'm surprised your lips are not stuck to Jake's ass. I can't believe he actually put $20 and then said that crap. Oh, look at me. I have my lips stuck to Jake's ass all the time. Oh, I'm going to call him now. Tell Mrs. Craig she's beautiful and I don't know why she married you.
Oh, Tommy, Joe.
Sarah's expressions in that video are like gold. Like, you know, watch her facial expressions. They're awesome.
Shut up, Dave. I can't stand Santa Claus. Shut the fuck up, Santa Claus. You fucking eye. Oh, look at my eye. Oh, look at my eye.
You seem like you're in a good mood and ready to go for 20 more hours.
The I can't stand Santa Claus, shut the F up, is like maybe the greatest sound clip of all time. That should just be clipped and used all the time.
He's a loose cannon, that Bobby Midnight. We love him, but, you know, he could go all over the place at times.
He's got to keep that anger under control.
I agree. Man. You want to see one more?
Yeah.
I can have my own show by myself. I don't kiss anybody's ass. Craig is kissing Jake's ass a lot. I know he's kissing Jake's ass. I'm surprised his lips are not still stuck to him. I don't see Craig in the chat. Do you guys see Craig in the chat?
He's got a chance. He's got a chance in the tournament too.
Bobby
He's got a
Midnight?
shot. It's got a shot. I know none of that counts because it's on his show, but he's got some classic moments on this show too.
When was the last time you took a shower?
I don't know. Thursday evening.
You haven't showered since Thursday? You probably reek. Oh.
He stinks. Yeah.
Oh, you gotta be disgusting.
Why did he not shower for like several days? Was there a reason?
He had no hot water.
Okay. 1 year my New Year's resolution was to take cold shower because of all the health benefits. I did it for 1 day. I took cold shower. I was like, nope, never again. That's out. I was gonna start each day with a cold shower because there's health benefits in cold showers. Did it 1 day. It's like, nope, that New Year's resolution talking about that. That was horrible. That was awful. Never again.
What are your thoughts on the big fella saying solid call?
I appreciate that. I appreciate that, big fella. Big fella's a good dude. He's a good dude.
Ladies and gentlemen, more of Bobby Midnight. He's dying to come back on the show.
Let me get in my chair first. I'm getting pissed off by the heck. I'm trying to get into my damn chair, dummy. There's my orange chair I'm going to sit in.
All right, dear God, let this chair hold.
Hey, shut up. I've been sitting in the...
Bob, what's in the blue storage bins? More chairs?
The clothes and all that, Nick.
No.
Where do you keep your underwear, Nick? God damn it. I'm just pissed off.
Voice of an angel comes in to save the day.
Yeah. Hi, Sarah. Oh, so you got your wish, Jake, okay?
Where is the orange chair? It hasn't made an appearance in a while.
Hector says you're going to know me soon, Bobby.
Oh,
that's it, right, Hector. How am I going to know you soon, Hector? Won't you show your face on camera, you chicken ass? Ooh, big deal. I'm a big man. I'm typing in chat.
Gator writes in chicken ass. New cartoon coming to Max this fall.
That was well done. That was well done.
A lot of great moments, man. A lot of great moments.
Bobby's got a shot. Bobby's got a shot.
Now, this, I guess, didn't happen on this program, but it certainly led to a lot of content on our show.
Oh, is that Gary's wife? Hi, Gary's wife. Oh, there she is. Good looking.
I don't understand to this day how he thought that was my wife. And look, I get that that's not part of the show, so it's not a part of the criteria, right? But it's like when the lawyer says something and the judge says striking that from the record. Okay, it's off the record, but it's still in the head of every juror. They still heard it. You can't unhear it, right? So everyone voting still heard that, and it's still going to affect the way they vote, even if it's not supposed to, right? Like they're still human beings, and like they saw that. They can't unsee it.
Gary, you need to stop yelling at all your friends about Joe Douglas and all of the Jet stuff. I mean, I am going to leave you for Bobby. Wiggle, beagle, beetle, beetle, beetle. Just let your cornrows down and just stop it already with all of the fighting. It's not worth it. I love Bobby. Wiggle, deagle, 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 deagle.
What a moment in time, Gary. What a
That's
moment.
not going to help in the tournament, I don't think. I don't think him confusing me for my wife. First of all, my wife doesn't even look anything like me. Like my wife's got like those like dark like Irish features and green eyes. Like
Bobby, you really need to calm your freaky down because I'm not there to help you. Oh, wiggle, beagle, beagle, deedle, deedle, beagle, beagle.
I still don't.
I see
still
the
don't
similarities.
understand how
No.
he confused me for my wife. I don't understand. My wife looks more like Decker.
I don't know.
I don't know how that even happens.
I don't know.
I know
All
when
right.
you play that video, Bobby doesn't like it. I know that.
I have a couple Jet-related announcements here. The deal is not done, so I'm glad we waited. The Jets have not informed, according to Zach Rosenblatt, any GM finalists about whether they got the job. Doesn't mean they don't know who will ultimately get the job, but there hasn't been an offer yet. So I think it's going to end up being Mougey. I'm not saying Josina is not right, but I didn't want to jump the gun because I don't think that's smart. Things constantly change. Remember, Liam Cohen yesterday was going back to the Bucks as their OC, so things change quickly this time of year.
Jumping the gun, just trying to be the first one to report it. She's probably right, but it's not done yet, right?
Here's some info on Mougey. Thank you to Gator for putting this together. A little scouting report on Darren Mougey. So, Gary, you wanted Joe Douglas fired 2 days before he was hired. How do we feel about Mougey? Does he deserve to at least sign the contract?
I mean, I'm not an expert. I haven't done my research on these GMs. I don't really trust anything that Johnson to do, so that's not really I'm not going to say that. I trust Woody to do the right job. So I don't know, man. I'm kind of neutral. I'm kind of agnostic on this.
Let's judge how he sounds, right? You said Joe Douglas didn't sound like a winner to you when you heard him speak. So here's a clip of Darren Mougey speaking.
Watching it firsthand last year in the draft, seeing George operate, he's really good at maneuvering the draft, and he has a lot of good contacts in the league. So we're fielding all the calls throughout the draft, and then even throughout the whole season. With George's contacts throughout the league, he wants to be in on every possibility. We'll leave no stone unturned. So we take trade talks, all training camp, all season, and with George's contacts and just his flexibility and open-mindedness, it's been fun to watch.
It's just hard to stand pat and hope. I just think you need to push it. You need to push it every now and then, and that's kind of our philosophy.
That's 100 times better than Joe Douglas. It's succinct. It's intelligible. You know what he's saying. It's not Joey like football. It's not. Yes, that is 1,000 times better than. If you spoke like Joe Douglas, how quickly would ESPN cut your mic? Within 5 minutes, you'd be done.
Job, Gary. You can't even use that. I don't even want to defend Joe Douglas. He's gone. I'm moving on. But Joe Douglas's failure as a general manager had nothing to do with how he spoke at a press conference.
It's a part of it for sure. You can't communicate. You can't do anything.
He can communicate. He can communicate with players, coaches, and agents. That's his job, not to talk to you in the media.
Fair. I've never heard him talk to Salah. I've never heard him talk to the coaching staff. I've never heard him talk in executive. That's true.
Joe Douglas didn't grab Zach Wilson because he's bad at press conferences, or choose Mekhi Becton over Tristan Wirfs because you didn't like how he answers stuff in the media. That has nothing to do with his ability to be a general manager.
He's 30-64 because he's been at everything. I'm shocked he hasn't gotten a job yet. I'm absolutely shocked he's not a GM of a team with that track record that he has. When you can't speak, look, I'm not saying.
I forgot you're this award-winning public speaker.
I'm not the GM of the Jets. I'm just a scout too. I'm not saying
right. So why does Joe Douglas need to be good at the press conference?
He has to be an effective communicator. He can't speak in sentences, Jake. He can't put a sentence together that's coherent and intelligible. That's a problem.
That's just not true.
We can play the press conferences. It's not one. It's one after another.
Here's Joe Douglas speaking, Gary. Pipe down. Pipe down.
Just shut the fuck up. I did not ask for the dumb opinion that came out of your ass, so shut the fuck up.
Like I said, when you hear Aaron Glenn speak, that's an intelligent guy.
Good.
When you hear Joe Douglas speak, that's not an intelligent guy. If you're not an intelligent guy, everything in life is going to be more difficult for you.
Gary, thank you for calling in.
Thank you, Jake.
All right. Appreciate you. And God, let's hope this GM is better than Joe Douglas for you.
Joe Douglas should have been fired 2 days before he was hired.
All right, one last quick call. I got to run. I'm on the AFC East Jets roundtable in 8 minutes, so we got to move fast here. Ladies and gentlemen, we're bringing in the closer. He is $100 richer thanks to the Asmaniacs. Jet fans for Chiefs fan all weekend long. Go Chiefs against the Buffalo Bills.
It's Chiefs fan. Guess what? I'm still looking for a job, bitches. It's Chiefs fan. I'm just going to rub my hands together all day. It's Chiefs fan. There's a whole lot of DNA on this couch. Let's hear it for Chiefs fan. Look, it's my dead neighbor that I didn't kill. Yo, thank you.
Fan, how are you?
Thanks, everyone. Thanks to everyone who donated, even if it wasn't much. I appreciate it. I'm going to be using 50 of that for this weekend. And 50 of that for my birthday next weekend.
Hey, well, I'll tell you what. There's still time for people to donate. Jake-Asman on Venmo. Jet fans for Chiefs fan all weekend. You can send
Yep.
whatever you want. Send $5, $10. Someone sent $40.
Yeah, I
Incredible.
already have 100. If you want to send 100 more, I'll just use that to go bar hopping on my birthday.
Yeah, baby. Let's go. Chiefs fan, I will be sending you more after the show. A couple more people
All
came
right,
through.
thank you. Like I don't need more than 200, 250. I'd rather have people like donate to the show to give more stuff out for you to give more stuff. But thank you, you all donated. Hopefully, the Jets roundtable goes well. I just hope it doesn't break when you're on the roundtable. Like, oh, here's your new GM. Then you got to rush from the roundtable back to a new show. I hope that doesn't happen. But like, you're a sports reporter. Your team could sign a quarterback when you're half asleep and you got to wake up and do a show. Something like that.
Nick Shine writes in, if I send you money, make sure you pay your StreamYard and don't place bets. Sorry, wrong one seed.
Oh,
Hey,
I'm
don't
not
do the
placing
Bobby
bets.
Midnight. That is what Nick is saying to you, Chiefs fan.
Oh, if I place bets, if I place bets, I'm not going to use it with the money people give me. I went through and I forgot that I had like a whole bunch of silver coins that I've had, and I've been slowly getting rid of my silver quarters, and they're beat to hell. But like I had like those old Pokemon tins that cards used to come in there. Like I could put those silver quarters up as bet because they each go for $4 to $3. So that's what that's what I'm probably gonna do for my next bets. Because if they're $4 a piece, I could put 4 or 5 of those up for $20 or $16, whatever people want to bet.
Gator says you should use some of that money to get a haircut.
I'm getting it done on the 3rd or the week after. I only go to one haircut place, and my stylist has been out for a while due to a family emergency.
I see.
At least they're doing haircuts where they're at. I only have one stylist. Been using her for the last 6 months since my parents no longer were able to find a way to come to take me to another stylist. I found one that's right next to a McDonald's, so if I get hungry, and there's a Taco Bell right next to it too. So if I want to destroy the toilet, Jake, that was your chance to do a fart joke.
I'm sorry, Chiefs fan. I'm just checking to make sure the Jets.
Yeah, you're
didn't
fine.
hire
You're fine.
GM. You want a fart sounder? I mean,
if you want.
Look, if you know anything about me, Chiefs fan, you know I respect a good fart joke at any time.
Same.
So for you, absolutely.
Hell yeah. I'm not going to be in the show tonight because I got Magic the Gathering locals, even though it's going to be like 7 degrees when I walk home. So I just want to
Sorry, I can't hear you. Over
I like I said, I watched South Park and Terrence and Phillip got me into this fart humor, if you know who I'm talking about.
What's that? I can't hear you over the farts.
Terrence and Phillip from South Park. You know who that is, right? Terrence and Phillip, the Canadian duo. That,
yeah.
Did the Uncle Effer song from the South Park movie. That's what got me into fart humor.
I love that. You know what got me into fart humor? And actually, my whole life I wasn't into fart humor, and then I started doing this show, and
then Charles Gorman.
Charles Gorman just provided us with moment after moment of greatness.
I think the second one. Excuse me.
And now I'm sold.
Thanks, Beast. So it was the episode where I didn't get to watch season 1, but it was
I got 10 seconds, Chiefs fan. I'm late for a commitment.
All right, so let's say this. It was the episode where Terrence and Phillip go save their daughter, and the guy farts into the microphone and says, here's Sir Smelly. Peace.
It's Chiefs fan.
Guess what? I'm still looking for a job, bitches.
It's Chiefs fan.
I'm just going to rub my hands together all day.
It's Chiefs fan.
There's a whole lot of DNA on this couch.
Let's hear it for Chiefs fan.
Look, it's my dead neighbor that I didn't kill.
Thank you all for your support. If the Jets hire a GM, we'll react live. If you want more Jet content, AFC East Jet Roundtable. Me, Matt O'Leary, Richie, and Matt talking about the latest with the Jets. So I'll see you guys over there shortly. Thanks to everyone who sent the super chat, gifted a membership, called in, watched the show. Please subscribe, like the video on your way out. Go Jets, everybody.
The Jets are going to come back. No, they're not. They're never going to come back. They're never going to come back.
I lied. I forgot I had super chats. No super chat left behind. My fault. My fault. Tyrone, thank you. Getting excited again. Wait till May, March, July, September. Keep us going, Jake. Go Jets. Yeah, look, we know how to win the offseason. I'm with you. Dirty Ray, Joe Douglas' failure was not acknowledging and fixing the Jets' holes and missing on a ton of huge decisions like quarterback, head coach, left tackle. 100%. Nick says, what do you think Glenn could do for Sauce? I think Sauce is going to get back to being an all-pro level corner next year. I mean, he still was very good this year if you look at the coverage stuff, but I think he's going to make Sauce elite and help him with his ball hawking skills, more interceptions. Devin, Jake Giselle, you some money for Cheats fan. Love you. Devin, awesome, brother. Appreciate you. Very nice of you. I will make sure that gets the Cheats fan. All right. Farewell, everybody.
I hate this team. I hate them. I hate them.